All right, so Alexander Usyk, as we all know, in the Ukraine fighting for his country. Brave man. Love what he's doing. I sure as hell wouldn't have the guts to do that. I know that for sure. Alongside his fellow countrymen, Lomachenko, Klitschko brothers. But reported, I believe it was Mike Coppinger that reported it. Alexander Usyk actually wants to come back and defend the championship belts against Anthony Joshua and have that rematch. Joe, what do you think about that?
Honestly, I think that's a decision that Usyk will have to make. Like, I can't begin to imagine what's going through his mind right now. You know, growing up in a country where you have been raised with your family and with people you care about, people you know way more than those in the boxing circle. Like, these people grew up with you when you started with nothing. So, like, for Usyk, there's must be like a million things going on through his mind right now. I'm fine with it either way because eventually that fight was going to have to happen. It was more of a case of sooner than later. And with the talks of Tyson Fury, him claiming to retire after the Dylan White fight, I think this makes a lot of sense. Though whatever Usyk decide, if he's pushing for this, then hey, I'm all on board because he's already given up a lot more than most people would ever give up.
100%. 100%. And you know what's funny, man, on the Facebook groups, and I don't know if it's like trolling or just people are just really this stupid. But you know how like Lomachenko was out there. Adrian, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good, Adrian?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
You know how Lomachenko was out also in war, and then everybody was like, oh, he went to war to duck Devin Haney and stupid shit like that. Yeah, I know. It's just ignorant stuff. You know how people are ignorant. And so Lomachenko was actually in talks to fight. I believe it was Kambosos not too long ago. And a lot of people were saying, oh, that's his way of ducking out of this war. It's like
they agreed on that fight, by the way. Didn't they agree on that
fight?
Yeah,
they did. They did. I don't know if like the talks fell through. I'm not 100% sure. Joe, I don't know if you know anything about that. I don't remember exactly what happened.
So there was a verbal agreement from what I remember that Lomachenko and Kambosos was definitely going to happen before Lomachenko decided to go back to the Ukraine. That was definitely going to be the fight. Devin Haney will definitely be the fight if it's not Lomachenko because I don't know if you watch the Boxing Voice much, but Bill Haney had an interview yesterday talking to Ness and the crew over there, and something that definitely came to mind is that now we're getting talks and we're just waiting for an offer, something quick. And, they're adding, I'm going to be honest, I feel really bad for Devin Haney in this situation because, there are guys who, talk about getting ducked. Haney has been dealt a really bad hand from a lot of these fighters, from Ryan Garcia to Teofimo to Kambosos. And then, what you think about the franchise title, obviously, with, Lomachenko and all that. He's finally going to get the chance. Unfortunately, it was a war that did muster it because let's keep it 100, right? If this war doesn't happen, Lomachenko is the one who's fighting Kambosos, not Haney.
Yeah, but Haney priced himself out though. Before.
So from what I've heard, this is on Bill Haney's side, right?
I think the zone, obviously Matchroom, obviously they said something different, which didn't make much sense. I get they're saying they didn't go high, but I'm not sure. You don't know what to believe when it comes to these things.
What did he ask for? Do you know the details on that?
So I don't know all the details, but all I know is that Bill said that they had agreed to basically everything that Kambosos' side had wanted, but that he's taking far less money than Lomachenko would for this fight. And he also that he would go over to Australia to go fight Kambosos. This is all on Bill Haney's side, and he's claiming that everything that's talked about that they've been willing to agree to because they knew they were going to take less money and they knew they would be the B side, so they would have to fall in. Haney is apparently still training, and once that fight gets announced, they'll be in Australia maybe 3 to 4 weeks out, so Haney can get adjusted to the country or to the continent.
Yo, you know what, man? I'm happy to finally hear that, bro, because there was like this thing that Lomachenko was ducking Devin Haney, right? So whether it's true or not, I highly doubt it. But anyways, that's what the talk was. In the boxing groups, it was Devin Haney's being ducked by Vasily Lomachenko, which I never understood because he's fought guys much tougher, much bigger, and probably much better than Devin Haney. But I'm glad that Devin Haney, George Kambosos is more than likely probably going to happen. What do you guys think about that fight, Adrian? Who do you think wins that fight? You're muted, Adrian.
Oh, I think, well, since the fight will most likely take place in Australia, or New Zealand, whatever, doesn't matter. I think that Kambosos could definitely win 6 rounds, and winning 6 rounds in his home turf probably gets him the decision.
Okay. So are you thinking corruption?
It's boxing. Come on.
Joe, man, what do you think about that fight? Who do you think wins that one?
I'm gonna be real. If it was up like just bare minimum, I think Devin Haney is a far superior fighter to Kambosos. I don't want to take away anything from Kambosos and what he did with Teofimo, but I'm gonna be real. I think Teofimo did himself a giant disservice with the way they handled everything right after Lomachenko. From publicity, he let everything get to his head, and he fought like a one-dimensional fighter. And Kambosos, and listen, at the end of the day, if you decide to come out that way, that's your own fault. We've seen that with guys like Lennox Lewis, guys who he would lose to, he was far superior to, but he would still get knocked out or lose because he wasn't taking it seriously. That's his own fault. But I will say, Haney, pound for pound, is better than Kambosos. I will say, though, if you're on the money odds, I'm kind of hoping that it gets a lot closer because or gets a little wider, because I think Kambosos has a real shot, because this is going to be arguably easily the biggest fight of Haney's career for a while.
Oh, 100%.
This is undisputed. You get to join Pernell Whitaker as being the only person to ever be undisputed at that weight class.
Mm-hmm. Now,
so real quick, real quick, I just want to mention this. Better resume, Kambosos. The best opponent between both guys, obviously, it's Lomachenko. Haney's never fought anyone even close to Haney, to Lomachenko.
Mm-hmm.
Speed-wise, I think Kambosos is a little bit faster. Obviously, Haney's bigger. As far as power, Haney's got pillows. Kambosos has actually, he dropped Teo. And then as far as skill, I agree with you. Skill only, I agree with you. Everything else really is just hearsay and just guessing. But
the crazy thing about this fight is
Haney is a better boxer.
The thing about this fight is, like, I cannot imagine Devin Haney with his style going over to Australia and winning a boring decision over Kambosos. Like, I cannot see it happening. Yeah. As Adrian touched earlier, this is boxing corruption is all over. Say what you said again?
Yeah. He only needs 6 rounds. It's not that hard.
Probably less. He could probably win 4 rounds.
You know?
Yeah, you gotta remember. Rounds aren't always clear, so if it even seems it's a swing round, they might give Kambosos those swing rounds. This fight, I expect there will be rounds where you can say, oh, that's a pick'em round, and that's enough justification to give it to Kambosos. Australia has had these kind of decisions before, and it's not just Australia. We just had this recently with Catterall and Josh Taylor in a fight that I 100% feel Jack Catterall won that fight. And I don't think
there's anybody other than Andre Ward that feels Josh Taylor won.
Andre Ward doesn't know what he's talking about.
At the end, he's also employed by them, so I'm not surprised. He's got an agenda.
So the definitely only thing I said, if you factor in the home court, if you factor in that Haney has no power, if you factor in that this is the first time when these American guys go leave the country, a lot of them don't do well, So he has a lot going against him. The only advantage he has in this fight is he's a more technical fighter. That's it.
Go ahead, Joe.
And size.
So okay, so I think in general this is gonna be a like Haney has to win this clearly. Like maybe he could get a knockout or maybe a knockdown. I know we all know that Haney isn't the biggest puncher in the world, but sometimes it only takes the right punch to do it. Like most people's bone structure, we're not supposed to be
punch
taking.
Tio.
We're not supposed to be taking
like-
punches to the jaw.
Go ahead.
We're not supposed to be like getting hit in the temple. Like those shots, even with little give, can do damage. I've seen women hurt men who are much bigger and stronger with a punch, and it didn't look like it happened much, but it can still happen. I will say though, Kambosos is gonna come in there. He's gonna have the crowd behind him. Obviously, that is gonna be a lion's den, and Haney's looking like food.
That's what. Actually, George Kambosos has been looking like food to everybody else, especially after the Teofimo Lopez fight. Not everybody wants a shot at him because I feel like everybody believes that
contract though.
Nobody's offered a contract yet, but everybody, you know how it is on Twitter. Everybody with their Twitter fingers. Oh, I want him.
Ryan Garcia said he'll fight him. And who did he end up signing a fight against? Someone that no one knows.
Who the fuck knows? I don't even know how to say the guy's name. I don't even know who the guy is.
Ryan might still be in the running low key if we're thinking about it. Because with Lomachenko out in the books,
but I'm saying right now,
nobody. Right now, listen. Ryan Garcia is fighting a who the fuck. You know, let's just be honest. Ryan Garcia right now is fighting somebody none of us have ever heard of and whose name we can't even pronounce without Googling it up. I don't think Ryan Garcia is really gonna do much. And you know what it is too? No, but listen, but just hear me out. Just hear me out. The thing too with Ryan Garcia, bro, every fight that he has that's a big fight, he's constantly pulling out of it. He's constantly pulling out. I'm surprised he's got kids with how often he pulls out. So with Ryan Garcia, bro, honestly, like the way I feel is if he does get, let's say he wins his next fight, which I'm sure he will, and he looks amazing, incredible, and then let's say Devin Haney wins against Kambosos, they get that fight done. They sign the fight. Ryan Garcia is going to pull out. That's just what it is.
Can I ask you a quick question real fast? I want to ask both of you guys a quick question.
Of course.
Who would you say has a better chance to beat Kambosos? Tank Davis, Lomachenko, Devin Haney. I want you to put them in order. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. So the best chance is, in my opinion, would be Tank Davis. Then I got Lomachenko, and then I got Devin Haney. If I'm going by order. I think all three of them guys can beat him.
You can add Ryan Garcia to the mix, but I think we're all gonna agree he's the fourth. But
yeah, no.
I'm not even.
I think honestly,
I feel the same way about that order. That's actually correct because Kambosos has a style that I think would suit Tank Davis. Tank Davis can pop like no matter what we think. He's taking out dudes that are 140 pounders. Yeah. Like Kambosos is not standing with him 6 rounds. That fight ends brutally. Like he may give Tank a fight, but like that ends brutally with Tank getting a decision, a knockout. Lomachenko, obviously, he puts a lot of pressure on you, which causes stoppages, but he could like outclass Kambosos as long. And I'm gonna keep this 100. As long as it's not the Lomachenko we saw in the Teofimo fight, where he was getting horrible advice from his corner, horrible advice. Yeah.
But at the same time, bro, honestly, like I felt that like that Lomachenko, I think he was just trying to wait for Teofimo Lopez to get tired to start because after round, I want to say 6, he won pretty much every round after that.
Real quick, I completely disagree. I think Lomachenko has the best chance of beating Kambosos just because the styles for me, speed style. I think Haney's 2. And then I think Tank Davis, I mean, if you watch, I mean, I know only 50,000 people are paid for the Isaac Cruz fight. Isaac Cruz is basically a journeyman. Mm-hmm. And you could make a case that
no. You can't call him a journeyman. How could you call him a journeyman?
Okay, so a gatekeeper then.
No, okay, but why do you think he's that?
He took the fight on short notice. I don't even think he was in training camp.
He probably wasn't, but how does that make him a gatekeeper? or a stepping stone, whatever you want to call it. The guy,
So
the guy.
then whatever you want to call him, he's not an elite guy.
Okay, but
He's
what?
not a
Okay,
champion.
so why do you not think he? Okay, so are we talking about just based on accomplishments, the way he fights? Like, what are we talking about?
You're only as good as your last outing.
Right.
Tank Davis last fight versus an Isaac Cruz that no one knew about during short notice, and if you know what, before the Rolly fight was made, Tank Davis was hesitant in making that rematch.
Mm-hmm. Well,
he avoided.
Okay. So I'm glad you said that.
Cruz better than Kambosos? That's all. That's what I'm asking. What like he didn't. You know, I listen. I've seen Kambosos get hit by Tio, who's one of the biggest guys at that weight class, and get up. He got knocked down. He got up, and he won those next 2 rounds. I think you guys are overrating Tank big time.
Okay, we might be overrating Tank. I don't think we are, but if you think that, that's okay. But at the end of the day,
hold on. I actually want to get on that point about Tank real quick, because it's not about rating Tank. I don't think Tank is more skilled than Loma or Haney. What I do think is he possesses a real problem for someone like Kambosos. Now, here's the difference, right? The Teofimo that got in the ring, say what you want about Tank. Tank pretty much takes care of his business. I don't have to worry about him having a really bad outing unless it's a guy he moved up in weight to fight. I have to worry about that with Teofimo, and it was quite obvious. Same with Oscar Valdez, not getting up for fights he should have been getting up for. With Gervonta Tank Davis, it's business in there, and he'll knock out Kambosos like 100%. Pretty solidly.
Wait, why didn't he knock out Isaac Cruz then?
Because Isaac Cruz is the biggest guy he's fought so far. Am I wrong? He's the naturally bigger guy.
Definitely no. He's definitely not the big guy. He's smaller.
No, but what are you talking about?
Mario Barrios was much bigger.
Okay. That's why I asked.
160 pounder now. You know, the dude's huge. I think he walked into the fight
wait. No, actually, I'm glad we brought that up. Because Mario Barrios, didn't he just fight Keith Thurman?
Yes, he did.
Did Keith Thurman stop him?
Nope. Sure didn't.
Okay,
that's why I said, Adrian, that's a triangle theory. You can't
wait, Johnny.
Yes.
Everyone knows Barrios was. Listen, if you look at him, when you're weight cut, you're more prone to getting stopped. Look at MMA, look at boxing. Guys that cut a lot of weight usually get stopped. So
okay, that's fair.
That doesn't mean anything. Look at Isaac Cruz. He didn't stop him, and he's not an elite guy. You're bringing up Barrios. Well, first you thought Isaac Cruz is bigger than Barrios, which I think Tank was taller than Isaac Cruz too.
By like an inch. They were like
but
kind of the same size. But
Isaac Cruz is not an elite guy, and you can make a case that it was a draw. And listen, I'm not saying he won the fight, but a lot of boxing analysts said you could make a case depending on how you judge a fight. He won it. And
some people. That's what was one of my points was.
Tank Davis.
How could you call him a journeyman when he had such a great outing against Tank Davis?
Because
that's not what journeymen do.
That's why.
You said what?
So I went to go look at the stats, and Gervonta Davis was 1.5 inches taller than Isaac Cruz.
Yeah, it was like barely.
That's what I said. He's taller than him.
Yeah, no. Isaac Cruz. Look, Tank Davis is already tiny. And Isaac Cruz made him look, much bigger. So,
the thing is, you guys buy into this hype with Tank Davis, bro. He's never beat anybody. Like if he was such an elite guy, he should have stopped Isaac Cruz, bro. He gave him his best work, and Isaac Cruz kept coming forward. Based on
that's
the
fair.
Kambosos boxes his face off. There's no way.
Okay, so let's wait on Isaac Cruz then. Let's see what Isaac Cruz does next and see if anyone else stops him. If nobody does, then maybe we should start giving credit to Isaac Cruz being tougher than we think.
Yeah, well, nobody's ever stopped him. He only has one loss.
He took a fight on short notice.
Yeah, that loss. His last loss was 6 years ago against a guy we don't even know. And that was years ago. That was 6 years ago. One loss doesn't determine where you go, because lots of guys start out losing, like Bernard and what's his face, the guy who knocked out Johnny Gonzalez had like 9 losses when he knocked out who the hell was it?
Oh, I remember who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, you remember? It was back when Abner Mares was like the dude when he was undefeated. He knocked out Abner Mares, and Gonzalez had like 9 losses.
Yep. But listen, Adrian, let me ask you a question.
Make this clear, real quick. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask you. Okay, if he did stop Isaac Cruz, would that change your mind at all on Tank Davis? Honestly.
Yes. I would have been like,
no, it wouldn't. No, it would not. Stop it. You would have just said, "Oh, he knocked out a smaller man."
No, he did what he was supposed to do. He knocked out a guy coming off short notice with rarely a training camp. If you can't do your job, your boy here, he just said he shows up every time. No, he doesn't. Tank Davis didn't show up versus Isaac Cruz. Okay.
Wait, did he not win?
Yes, he won. He beat a guy who came in on short notice. A decision that didn't look good. He didn't look great in that fight. Winning means nothing. Am I gonna, like you just mentioned the Jack Catterall fight? Oh, did he win? Bro, you sound stupid. Like, shut up. Bro, you have to do more than win if you're some elite guy. You just said he's the best shot of beating Kambosos, but
okay, but let me explain, Adrian. Let me explain.
Someone who's an inch and a half shorter than him.
All right, actually, hold on, because like I've been pretty like reserved so far. First of all, the idea that like we were just talking about like triangle theories, and I've been asking questions, so I really would appreciate it if you wouldn't fucking call me stupid whenever I ask something. I legitimately asked a question, and yes, you just called me fucking stupid. Don't fucking do that shit.
I didn't think I called you stupid, but okay.
Yeah, like just chill, okay? Like we're good. Like we're good.
I don't think I called you stupid.
Yeah, like just when it plays back, just chill.
But okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
so when we're talking about like Tank Davis, like in general, I just think that like with Lomachenko, right? We haven't. Who was the last? When was the last time we saw him in the ring? Like I don't know. I'm about to pull it up right now.
Wait, who? Tank?
Lomachenko.
Oh, Lomachenko.
Yeah.
It was against what's his name? Conte. Not Conate. Was that his name? The African dude. Richard Conway.
Richard Conway, right? Yeah, Richard Conway. Okay. Just making sure. So that was last year. That was like at the end of the year. So what I'm thinking is with Kambosos being the kind of person that he is, like there's a reason. Like you actually made this point, Daniel, or sorry, Johnny. What is like everyone looked at Kambosos as food, even though he beat a guy that was looking to who beat Lomachenko. No matter what you think, like he beat Lomachenko. Now, why do you think that is? It's because they see a guy who they honestly believe fought a Teofimo who wasn't 100%. What not dude? And then that's not his fault. Teofimo's got to be ready at that point. That's his own problems. But I think they look at Kambosos, and I think any of the guys we mentioned beat him. Except, I'll be honest, I'm not big on Ryan Garcia. Like, I know some people are. I'm not big on Ryan. I don't see what the big deal is. I have more hope for Oscar Valdez than I do for Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia is nothing special. But listen, but Adrian, hold on. Let me just tell you why I think Tank Davis would beat Kambosos. Okay. So Kambosos is not a guy that is he's not a very skilled boxer. It's just Teofimo Lopez just doesn't know how to cut off the ring. He doesn't know how to use his angles and things like that. The thing with Tank Davis is he loves engaging in wars. Every war he's been in, he always wins them. Every exchange that he's been in, 9 times out of 10, he wins those exchanges. He's faster than George Kambosos. He's slicker than George Kambosos. Has better defense. Has better combination and punch placement. And we all know that he can crack. That's why I have him as the number 1 guy. But it's just based off of styles. It's strictly based off of just styles. Like I don't think Tank Davis could beat Devin Haney, but I think he can beat George Kambosos.
Yeah. And listen, I'm just if I'm asking for an opinion, that's why I asked the question. I didn't that's why I asked the question, and I mainly just asked it just to see where people stand with the 3 guys, like with all 4 guys, which yet again, Ryan, I think we all agree that Ryan ain't shit. No. And just for the record, Ryan did call out Isaac Cruz right after that fight. And was the fight made?
No, of course not, bro. Ryan Garcia I can't stand the guy because he's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. But I'm telling you, he always does this. He pulled out against Javier Fortuna.
Potential wise, I do think Ryan Garcia probably is the best out of all the four. Potential. Mentally, where he's at now scares me. I would not invest any money or stock in Ryan Garcia right now.
The thing that Ryan Garcia has going for him, bro.
But
yeah, the thing that Ryan Garcia has going for him, he's like a mini Oscar De La Hoya. He's got the looks. Girls love him. Good looking kid. You know, he could fight. He probably would be
he has
the more potential superstar pay-per-view wise out of all these guys. 100%. But skills wise, no.
Yeah, definitely.
No. Not only that, but he's, like I said, he's constantly pulling out of big fights. How are you ever going to make a name for yourself when you're constantly
mental wise, he's the weakest one, and that's really what matters.
Definitely mental.
Yeah, him and Tio are pretty bad.
I actually want to get to that Oscar De La Hoya comparison because I don't know if y'all know this about me. Like, I don't mention him as often, but y'all did, and I'm actually glad y'all brought up the name Oscar, right? So I have basically his whole career on DVD, and watching him fight, like rewatching some of those fights, I actually ended up seeing the last time I saw it fully was about a year ago. When people compare him to Oscar in like his 10th or 11th fight was fighting for a world title against undefeated guys. He was fighting like what's his face? Mark Bradal. He went down to 130 to go fight Mark Bradal for a title at WBO at 130. He went up to 135 to fight like Paez and like whatever his name is, John or something like that, who was coming on a win streak, and obviously like Rafael Reyes, who was it was only a 2-1 favorite for Oscar. Like Oscar was fighting real killers at his division and fighting everybody. When I see Ryan, I don't see that slick boxer puncher that I see in Oscar. When I see Ryan, I see
let me
okay.
Let me kind of like elaborate what I mean. I don't mean skills wise at all whatsoever. And when I'm comparing the two, I'm talking about pretty much how you could brand them. So Ryan Garcia, like I said, good looking kid. He has the look. He has the following. He has a very big female following. So pay-per-view wise, superstar wise, he reminds me of Oscar De La Hoya. I am not talking about his heart. I'm not talking about anything related to being in the ring. I'm talking about the way you can market Ryan Garcia. Right? Like I said, he has the whole package. The only thing he needs is a fucking big fight that he doesn't pull out of. If he can get that,
he needs more than that.
Well, of course he needs more than that, but I'm like, he needs somebody like a George Kambosos. That'd be a start.
He's fighting Emmanuel Tago or some guy like that.
He's still really young, guys. You got to give Ryan some time. Unfortunately, these new guys are not like. He's not De La Hoya. He's not going to be fighting some.
Adrian, I don't want to hear that age excuse, because the same thing I said about Edgar Berlanga, I'm going to say about Ryan Garcia. You can tell when a kid has it. You can tell. Jaron Ennis is 24 years old, and we can tell he has it. All right? I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying we know it. Ryan Garcia is not mature. We all know that. So, like,
he's not mature.
All I'm saying, like, you can't compare him to Oscar De La Hoya. Like, these new kids, it's a whole different fight. It's a whole different game. So,
right.
And honestly, I think we're forgetting.
He's still a good kid.
No, I like Ryan. It's just like he's not in the state where like boxing seems to be like his love and drive. Maybe it's just a thing for him right now. But I'm gonna say real quickly, because we're talking about age. I remember when we should have given Tank Davis a lot of crap because he wasn't fighting anyone, and the excuse was, well, he's young. Canelo was in a unification fight against Austin Trout at the age of 22. Mike Tyson was fighting for a world title at the age of 20. Like, these guys want to be great and don't want to put in great work, don't want to risk, because like all this comes with risk, every little bit, because sometimes you put them in really early with the top dogs and they can't swim.
Yep. And that's what I was saying. That's what
Cobb?
I'm saying, Joe. Like the whole thing when these guys bring up age, talking about, oh well, he's young, bro. Look at Shakur Stevenson. Look at Devin Haney. Look at those guys. You know that these guys got it. Like I said, Edgar Berlanga does not have it. Ryan Garcia does not have it. He doesn't. But to his defense, Ryan Garcia hasn't gotten a chance to show us he has it because he's constantly pulling out of fights. If he were to have fought Javier Fortuna, beaten, let's say destroyed him, then you could make an argument like, oh shit, like this, he's a legitimate threat.
And he constantly blames his gym. So like he got out of the Canelo gym because he says he wants to do things on his own time. What that's starting to sound like is, I don't want to train at the time or the way that Canelo's camp usually has it, because a lot of the guys that go and train with Chepo and them, usually they know what their business is. Even the guys who are like not as known, they go in there for their business. Ryan wasn't too interested in that. And by the way, when we're talking about like everybody else, I want to talk about Edgar Berlanga real quick, because I'm so like, I don't know what to say. This guy hasn't looked good in his past 2 fights. I don't know what the big deal is. I remember when I was on here the first time and I brought him up because people were mentioning his name. Dog, I'm gonna be real with you. You don't need a David Benavidez to fight him. Feed him to that cat y'all were talking about, that 168 cat. What's his face? The young kid with the South Slick. He's from Puerto Rico. Undefeated. He beat Alontes Fox his last fight. He stopped him in like 4. It's a guy y'all were mentioning, and I checked him out. I don't know his name here. Let me pull up Alontes Fox.
I'm trying to remember the. Hold on. I'm almost certain I know who you're talking about. I just can't remember.
David Morrell.
David. No, he's not Puerto Rican. He's Cuban.
He's Cuban. Okay, sorry, my bad. No, but yeah, David Morrell. I see him. He has some real talent. I will say though, he is a bit raw. Way too early to throw him with guys like David, or Canelo or anybody like that. But I definitely see why y'all are excited for him. He's definitely someone that I will be keeping an eye on, because what he did to Fox was impressive. Fox was a guy that had been in the ring with guys like Demetrius Andrade, and Morrell ran through him.
Yep. Adrian, go ahead. I know you've been trying to say something.
No, I'm just listening right now. I do have a quick question as far as fighters getting exposed. The Cobb kid, the kid that just got his ass kicked, how old was he?
32 years old, and he was talking
30,000 years old.
He was talking shit about Canelo
I just listen. I'm only mentioning this for the future podcast because, like, listen, 32 years old, and he looked like he was in his first fight, like his first. It's like the first time he's faced a dog. Horrible. That's what it looked like to me, at least. I don't know about you guys.
He sucks.
I'm like, wow. Look, he finally fought someone with a pulse. Yeah. And damn, he didn't come. He didn't come to fight. So.
No. He's terrible.
Yo, but I just said I'm only bringing it up in relation to the age because Ryan Garcia still is young. He still has a lot of growing to do, but these next few years are going to be key, because if he comes his next fight against this bum that he's fighting, if he doesn't knock him out or look good, it's all over for him. Because they're going to put him in with one of these top guys, and he's going to get knocked out.
Yeah, but I never believed in Blair Cobb, bro. Like I used to tell people at the time he was like a poor man's Prince Nazim, and I'm not talking about skills wise. I'm just talking about he liked to show off. He liked to clown during his fights. You know what I mean? Kind of like things that Prince Nazim used to do. He's a southpaw. He was trying to fight slick and defensive, and then he stepped up and No, he didn't. Do you even consider that a step up in competition? He fought another prospect and then got his ass handed to him. And it's so funny because a week ago, he went on an interview and said, oh, Canelo Alvarez is ducking all the real fights. But, dude, you're 32 years old. You're older than Canelo, still considered a prospect, never even fought anybody in the top 10, and you get your ass whooped. That's what you get. Karma, bro.
Hey, can I ask you another quick question?
Yeah, go ahead. Of course.
How old is Andrade?
33 or something like that. But you know what,
All
man?
right.
With Demetrius Andrade, at least he's trying. At least he's trying. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
actually, I have something to say about that. I don't know if you know about this. So two things I figured out. Like I've been watching a lot more boxing podcasts and trying to get my info up to date.
Yeah.
Just because obviously it helps my videos out as well. Two things I found out. One, did you hear about the claim that Steven Espinosa offered Andrade a fight for Charlo before he re-signed to DAZN? And obviously Andre took the DAZN deal instead of fighting him. This is according to Steven Espinosa from Showtime.
Okay, so
I saw that interview. Yes.
Did that? Hold on. You're saying that Demetrius Andrade? What? Say that again. I'm sorry.
So Steven Espinosa and Team Showtime offered Demetrius Andrade a fight with Jermall Charlo at 160 before Demetrius Andrade signed on with DAZN.
Oh yeah, that was for I think 8 million or not, something like that.
Some
7 million, I think.
Yeah, he turned it down. He turned it down. But that's why sometimes I don't fault Demetrius Andrade, but at the same time I do, because he's turned down big fights before. But I think obviously he wants that Canelo. He wants that Canelo fight. Who the fuck does?
And just for the record, Andrade is avoiding that monster in that weight class. Didn't he vacate his belt?
Yeah, to not fight Janibek.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how I feel about that. Because at the same time, I could understand why he vacated. He wants that. He's chasing Canelo. He wants Canelo. I don't blame him. Everybody wants Canelo,
man. Oh
everybody
my
wants
God.
Canelo.
He might as well call out Usman from UFC at this point. Like, it's not gonna happen.
Honestly, though, y'all know what this all could have been settled back in the day. So when Canelo beat Jacobs, the IBF was the reason that Canelo got stripped of the IBF was because they wanted to fulfill a mandatory. Canelo's team offered to fight Andrade in a unification bout to keep the belts because unifications trump mandatories, and the IBF said no.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
how would that fight have went? Like, be honest,
bro. Canelo would fucking sleep Andrade, bro. There's nothing.
Yeah,
look, Andrade. I don't. Okay, listen. I'm one of the guys that thinks Canelo is avoiding him. But I think it's more so because it's a high risk, low reward kind of fight, rather than he thinks he'll lose to him. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't want to risk. Why risk fighting a southpaw slick fighter when you can make the same amount of money and fight a white European guy that it's a lot easier to beat.
The only thing honestly, is beating Andrade at early, like the time frame that you guys are talking about, he would have gotten zero credit for it because they all would have said what we're gonna say now. He never freaking fought anybody.
Yeah, and if Canelo
4 years later,
Canelo
5 years
beats him
later
now, if let's say Canelo signed to fight Andrade next, and he beats Andrade even now, even though Andrade's been champion, I believe at 54 and 60, he still won't get credit. That's why.
No, but you know what would happen? Just like remember that one fan you had on the podcast, the Andrade fan. What did he say? Oh, of course Canelo's gonna beat him. It'll be at 168. Like, they already have the excuses built in it. You know? Were you on that podcast?
Yeah, I was. We were all there.
I think we were in full agreement with that one.
Yeah. All of us were definitely there for it.
No, I've never ever believed Andrade could beat Canelo. I think he's got it. I think he can make him look silly for a couple of rounds, but eventually the body.
He's the weakest. He's the weakest guy at 168.
Yeah, eventually the body work and all that will get to him, and I think Canelo stops him in like the 9th or 10th. Kind of similar to like the Caleb Plant fight. Speaking of Canelo,
I think David Lemieux beats Andrade, to be honest with you.
He probably does. He probably. I was about to say. Speaking of Canelo, according to David Benavidez, Canelo ducked $55 million offer to fight him. What's that about? Joe, I need your perspective. You're the Canelo fan.
All right, so. I think because like at first, like what I was hearing is that it was obviously going to be part of a 2-fight deal, $100 million to fight 2 fights on Showtime, and both were going to be Jermall Charlo and David Benavidez. I don't think it was $55 million because in order for that to happen, you would have to contradict what Charlo said about it being a $50 million fight. It was going to be $50 million for 2 fights, so it can't be 55 if the offer was 100 because that's just basic math. But another thing that's kind of an issue here is okay. I Rolando Cobb, right? Yeah,
We all do.
he's super cool dude. Super cool dude, but dislikes Canelo. I was talking with him and he's like, well, the reason fights like Charlo and Benavidez and Caleb Plant don't get made is because there's not enough money. You have $100 million to throw at Canelo Alvarez to come to your network. You can't spend a tenth of that on your own fighters to have them fight? What? How? Why? These are your superstars,
Well,
right?
It's got to
These
generate
these
that
are your
money
money
so that they
makers,
don't
right?
lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like still that these are the guys that Showtime are promoting as superstars, right? So why shouldn't you be promoting them? I'm not telling you to spend 20 million. I'm just asking you to spend 10 of the 100 you supposedly offered Canelo. Why is that so hard?
So I could answer that in the realistic way. First and foremost, PBC, for whatever reason, it seems like to me that the PBC fighters, they always lie about money, whether how much money they got for a fight, how much money they offered, how much sales. PBC, they stay capping when it comes to numbers.
That's fact.
The problem, so what you're saying makes perfect sense if it was a legitimate competition-based promotion, which PBC is not. The top guys never fight anybody, and they never fight each other either. You know, outside of a few like fights at welterweight, which they had to make, none of the other guys fight anyone. Like, look, Charlo, you know, why him and Plant can't agree on a fight is mind-boggling to me. Like, I can't understand it. Canelo said it himself: fight each other, and if I win my next two, you know, let's see. You know, like, you got to give them a reason that, like, you want the face of boxing, you have to have something. You know,
the thing with that, with them fighting each other, the problem with that is they don't want to do that because let's say Jamal Charlo and David Benavidez, they both want the Canelo fight, right? If they both fight each other, one of them isn't going to get that payday. You know what I mean? So neither one.
But I said fight Plant. I said fight Plant. Fight Plant. Fight Plant. That's what I'm saying. At least one of them could fight Plant, and then like,
but Plant
like,
is
let's
a
say
risk.
David Benavidez.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. These guys don't want to take. They don't want to risk losing out on that potential. Look, like for example, like a guy like Demetrius Andrade.
No, I know, but they have to. You have to give something. You have to bring something to the table if you want that payday. You know, and the problem, like, I'm trying to answer your buddy's question over here. Like, why won't you put money? Why won't you promote? Because these guys won't fight. Like, you need to risk it. Like, that's boxing. You know, that's the fight game. If you don't fight the best, at some point, look at Tank Davis's last numbers. You know what? 50,000 pay-per-views. The casual fan is gonna be like, bro, this dude just fights bums. Yeah. You know,
actually,
they won't buy it. That's it.
I want to go even further on that, and it's something I don't think we talk about enough. It's like having all these single champions not fighting anybody, it does a disservice to whoever beats them. Because think about this. Arthur Beterbiev, right? Beterbiev, would we really give him as much hype if he didn't go and fight a fellow champion and beat Vosdik, a guy he was favored to lose against? The reason we like Canelo Beterbiev now is because Beterbiev beat somebody. And I remember before that fight, people had cooled off on him quite a lot. Right. These guys, like I'm gonna give you all the champions that Canelo beat at 168, right? It's Plant, Saunders, Callum Smith. Not one of them had a unification against each other. If one of them had fought the other, those wins would mean a lot more. But now people get to discredit them because they only beat like one guy and didn't fight any champions. And that's going to be the same thing with Charlo and Andrade and Benavidez. If Canelo fought Benavidez next and won,
Andrade ain't got no belt.
Okay, but he obviously vacated, right? But Andrade was a 2-division champion. Yeah. It's like, oh, he never beat anybody for those belts. He won vacant belts. And with Charlo, it's like his best win is a guy who hasn't won a fight in like forever. And then obviously with Benavidez, they'll just say, oh, he was young, lost his belt on the scale, didn't beat anybody. So this just does a whole disservice to boxing as a whole. That's why I'm really happy with the way the cruiserweight division is handled, and the way even heavyweight has bigger fights than what we've been seeing between 154. Yeah. Actually, no, 154. Those guys scrap. They all fight each other.
154, they do, yes. Outside 154, none of these guys fight each other, man.
Yeah. How long have
So,
we been?
like, can I take it
How
one
long
more
have we
step
been
further,
waiting
real
for
quick?
Crawford Spence? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
That fight's dead. No one even gives a
Yeah.
shit about that fight no more. Let me take it one more step further. What boxing fans need to do, boxing hardcores, boxing media, I think the temporary solution is they need to acknowledge and respect the fact that Canelo took the hardest fight. No boxer before, no face of boxing did what he just did. He took the toughest opponent, and if you remember, I asked the question in the last podcast we all were on. Out of the 4 fighters, who was the most dangerous? We all pretty much agreed it was Bivol. Boxing purists, boxing hardcore fans need to acknowledge and respect what Canelo did and what he's doing, and then that way, it'll reflect towards the whole sport. And then when you have guys like Charlo and Benavidez and all these guys that just refuse to fight or even try to unify, it makes them look worse. So it kind of pressures them to actually fight somebody. You see what I'm saying?
Well, hopefully that works out, because I don't see the only guy that I see that's willing to fight them is David Benavidez, because he was in negotiations to make a fight with Caleb Plant. That went to shit. I don't know what happened there. It was supposed to be for September. It's still a possibility, because I know, but the reason was I think Caleb Plant said that they both had a fight schedule, which doesn't make any sense, because that fight
you can't book. Yeah, just so you know, like if you talk to any promoters or anyone in the fight business, when you have a fight signed and pending, it's really hard to negotiate another contract.
Yeah,
it's really hard. It's really difficult.
But
it really doesn't make much sense.
I think the Caleb Plant fight gets done. Actually, I think Caleb Plant, he wants like big fights now. David Benavidez would be second biggest fight. So
Plant lost. So now for him,
he did.
Yeah, he'll fight anybody at this point.
Yeah, no,
because he already got the loss.
Now his O is gone, so now he's
PBC's gonna.
Like, fuck it. But if David Benavidez can get into the ring with Caleb Plant and destroy him worse than Canelo did, now he can throw it in his face. Well, I just beat the shit out of the guy you struggled with, So
and then you could even see, honestly, like let's say Triple G gets hurt or whatever, and they not that it'll happen, but like let's say Triple G loses, let's just say, and let's say David Benavidez beats, like just dog walks Plant and just blast them out of there, bro. Canelo's gonna fight David Benavidez. You know what I mean?
I don't know, bro. I'm
telling you, he's gonna he wants the best guys. And I'm not a Canelo fan. Like I know your buddy here, he's a big time Canelo supporter. I don't really care for the dude personally because of the prior scandals. So listen, I'll watch him fight. I respect that he's fighting the top guys, but I can't see myself calling myself a fan of him. You know what I mean, or a supporter.
Adrian, if Canelo really wanted to fight the best guys, he would have taken care of Charlo a long time ago. I mean, Charlo turned down a fight with him in 2019. So actually, let me retract that. But I feel as though
he fought better guys though, so you can't say that.
Who's he fought that's better than Charlo?
Triple G.
I think Saunders
right off the bat. Triple G.
I remember we had this conversation before.
Plant is not better than Charlo.
Hold on. No.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and do this. Let's do this because I'm actually super glad you brought this up. Jamal Charlo versus Callum Smith, Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders. How does he do in those fights?
Jamal Charlo
probably 2-1.
Yeah.
Hold on. Are you asking how Jamal Charlo would do against all those guys?
Yes, all those guys.
Okay.
One at a time.
He beats. Actually, he stops Callum Smith.
Yes.
He stops Callum Smith.
I don't know, my guy. I saw Callum Smith just move up to 175 and knock out a dude Bivol went the distance with.
That's fine. But that's how boxing is. Sometimes that guy has a decision against another guy that another guy knocked out. That's just how boxing goes. Any punch can take you out. You know this. Everybody knows this.
Oh, well, of course. But Callum's been known to be able to crack. Callum would also be taller than Charlo. He'd be big. Charlo doesn't fight like Canelo. Like Charlo doesn't fight like Canelo.
Taller.
Like Canelo went in on the inside and was bullying him. Charlo isn't trying to do that to you. And Callum will have far more time.
Charlo can't do that because he doesn't have the skills to do that.
Listen, first of all, Callum Smith
can't fight backwards either.
Listen, Callum Smith was throwing no punches at Canelo. He literally was just like this the whole fight. And Canelo couldn't even stop him. Jamal Charlo stops Callum Smith 100%. He can box. He can punch.
Okay.
He can do everything better than Canelo, except maybe counter.
Yeah.
Wait. Hold on. On that punching thing, hold on. I want to get into this because I want to dive deep into this because there's a lot of things that got thrown out there, and I want to make sure we're all on the same wavelength. So,
bro, you're talking to Johnny, not me. So
yeah, no, I know, Johnny. He couldn't stop Austin Trout. He couldn't even knock him down. That's a guy.
Nobody stopped Austin Trout.
No. But they did knock him down. Canelo and Erislandy Lara knocked down a much better version of Trout than the one Charlo fought, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go further. Let's go Matt Korobov.
Let me take that back. Jarrett Hurd stopped Trout, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that completely.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Matt Korobov. This is a guy who got stopped, if I'm correct, by Andy Lee.
Okay.
Did Jamal Charlo stop that guy?
Okay, but see that argument.
Okay, we can go further. But we can go further.
But hold on. You're asking me questions. Let me answer.
Okay.
We can't go based off of that logic because the one that you brought up, Tank couldn't stop Cruz, but he stopped Mario Barrios. So as I said, bro, any punch can take you out, bro. You're not gonna.
But that argument for Isaac Cruz was me in favor of Isaac Cruz being tougher than we think, and that's why I said let's wait on Isaac Cruz because we have the verdicts out on these other dudes I'm mentioning.
Right.
So when I say like Charlo, I'm trying to think of a guy he stopped that I didn't expect him to stop. Like, can you think of that guy?
Of Jamal Charlo, no, everybody.
No, it doesn't exist.
Not really. No.
Like that's why I don't think he would stop. Callum's a tough dude. Like he was taking some shots. Like that arm where Canelo kept punching him to the arm and that welt grew on it. Nah, man. Callum's
Joe, listen. When a guy's trying to
go
survive,
to the next fighter. Wait.
No,
Johnny,
hold on. I'm just saying.
Continue on.
When a guy wants to survive, he's gonna survive. Point blank. Period. That's it. And
we'll
that's
have
what
to agree to disagree there, man. I definitely think he doesn't stop.
Listen, if you're fighting a guy and his mind is dead set on not fighting you and just surviving, you're not gonna knock him out. Everybody says that all the time, even fighters. When a guy doesn't want to get knocked out, he's not gonna get knocked out. He's gonna. When a guy is not fighting, it's gonna be hard to knock him out. You just can't do it.
Canelo gets the respect of his opponents, though. Do you think Charlo would get Callum's respect that early on?
Of course he would.
I don't know, but we'll go on. Let's move on to the next guy, Billy Joe Saunders.
I think he outboxes Billy Joe Saunders. I don't think he stops him.
See again, I'm trying to see it because I think if Charlo were to win that fight, he would have to stop him. He would have to because I think
who does Charlo outbox? Like is he known for outboxing anybody?
Yeah, he outboxed the living shit out of Dervinchenko. The same guy who arguably beat both Jacobs and Triple G.
I think he used his power.
He beat Jacob. I mean, I don't think he outboxed. He did not beat Jacobs. Jacobs fought that dude.
I said
he was undefeated and dangerous. A guy that Andre didn't want to fight.
Bro, I said arguably. I didn't say that he I'm saying.
I think he used his power in that fight and just dog walked him. I don't think he outboxed him.
It was a combination of both.
I just don't see this skill from Charlo can't box backwards. That's his biggest flaw.
If you're talking but he doesn't. Okay, listen. If you're talking about a just like a boxing clinic, I can't really think of a guy off the top of my head. I probably have to go on Google. But he has beaten up.
And I'm trying to be fair. Like I'm really trying to be fair. Yeah. I am, and I'm not. I don't want to team up on you with your buddy over here. But I just don't see Charlo like. I watch this guy fight, and I just don't see. I don't see a technician.
Yeah. Okay, hold on.
I don't see it.
Let me look at his resume really quickly. I'm just trying to see the guy.
Yeah, please do, because the majority of his fights that he wins and looks good in, he's just a much better athlete, and he uses his strength. When he has to box, it's when he looks lost. Like I can't say I'm freezing right now because I'm outside waiting for this practice.
Well, he outboxed Austin Trout.
Well, to be fair, Austin Trout was giving him a lot of trouble. Let's keep it 100.
But Austin Trout gave everybody trouble. Everybody
Johnny, this is what I'm saying. He didn't outbox Austin Trout. He was a better athlete, younger, in better shape. and he had a little bit more power. That sometimes that's all you need to to win a fight.
But what about Charlo
career.
stopping guys like J. Rock Williams? And you know what I mean? Like the dude can punch. He can crack.
Yeah, no. So Julian Williams.
Yes, the dude could punch. I'm just saying. You said he could outbox Billy Joe. Bro, you have to show me a fight. You got to show me something that because Billy Joe's a smooth technician.
So like, Julian Williams,
no, he beat him with his power. He didn't outbox him. Okay. Like Billy Joe,
that's your opinion.
Look, he could fight. He knows, like skill wise, he's a technician, man. The guy's smooth, man.
Okay, go ahead.
That's a tough fight for Charlo.
Okay, so I want to talk about J-Rock real quick because I remember when we had this conversation, I said that 154 because we were saying if 160 or 168 were weaker, and I said 154 was pretty weak. They do fight each other, but let's keep it 100. Like after J-Rock lost to Jamal. He did beat Jarrett Hurd, but I was never even that big on Jarrett Hurd because then Jarrett Hurd ended up losing to guys like Luis Arias. My guy, he cheated. J-Rock also lost to Rosario and then Vladimir Hernandez, a guy who's 12-4.
Mm-hmm. Like, but the thing about it is, bro, Jarrett Hurd used his size to his advantage. When he finally moved up to a weight class where guys his size were walking around at, that's when we saw who Jarrett Hurd really was. That's simple.
And I said those guys from 154 were not touching the guys from 160. And so far I've been right on it because when they're moving up,
I agreed with you, but I was the only one in the podcast that agreed with you on that.
And actually, no, Adrian, you mentioned it first. You were the first one to mention it. That's why I even brought it up. I was like, oh my God.
And they jumped down my throat, bro. I didn't want to be too talkative because those two guys kept going back and forth. That one racist dude. Yeah. I stayed quiet, but like when I mentioned it, they freaking jumped down my throat. I'm like, bro, like, are you guys who like? Just look at BoxRec. Like, just look at the guys at 160 and like 154. It's not even close.
Yeah, it's not. And honestly, because Julian has now been shown to be very chinny. Because Julian got knocked out in 5 by Rosario too. Like let's keep it 100, and then losing a split decision to Vladimir. But we can keep going. We can go. We already talked about Jarrett Hurd. We talked about Julian Williams, and I'm trying to give Jamal Charlo the benefit of the doubt here. He knocked out a guy. Who was it? Was it Highland or Centeno who was fighting on one leg? Which one of those guys was it?
Centeno. I think it was Centeno.
Okay, it was Centeno. He knocked out a guy that couldn't even walk. Like, okay, great, good job.
Okay, and then who's the third guy you mentioned?
But they said the same thing about Crawford and Jose Benavidez Jr., bro. I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, Jose Benavidez Jr. at least looked like he could like move in there. My man, Centeno honestly should have brought it in a wheelchair because that might have gotten him a few more rounds.
Oh my God! But I mean, Centeno is really nobody to brag about though, so I don't know why you're.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying though. Like Korobov has been stopped. He couldn't stop him. He didn't stop Brian. Let me see. Has Brandon Adams ever been stopped? I don't. Oh wait, he has by John Thompson.
So okay. So let me ask you. Jamal Charlo.
Wait, could we finish the topic? Who's the third guy? The third opponent.
Okay, yeah.
We're still in the topic. I just want to ask a quick question. So Joe, are you trying to tell me that like Jamal Charlo doesn't have power, like he can't crack? Like,
no. What I'm trying to say is, okay. Y'all can hear me clearly, right?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me fix my mic here. Talk again.
Yeah. Yo. Can you hear?
Okay, it's my headphones because I'm barely hearing y'all. Give me 1 second.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, talk again.
Okay, so what I was saying is I was asking you, are you trying to imply that Charlo doesn't have power? Is that what it is? Because
what I'm trying to imply is that Jamal Charlo as a win isn't really much better than Billy Joe Saunders or Plant or Callum Smith. Like the biggest thing you could say is the power, and even then, I think it's a bit overrated. Like.
Okay, so let me. You know what? Actually, before I ask you, go ahead and let's finish the list. All right. So we said Billy Joe, and then we talked about Callum Smith. All right. So ask about the other guys.
And the other one is Caleb Plant.
Sorry, Jamal Charlo stops Caleb Plant.
Oh, he stops Caleb Plant.
Bro, Caleb Plant is not even. Yo, I love Caleb Plant, but he's not that good, bro. Caleb Plant is not that good.
Yeah,
He's
but
very
weren't you one of
defensive,
those,
and he doesn't like to fight.
Johnny? Real quick, weren't you one of those Caleb Plant fans that thought he was winning all those rounds against Canelo
He was
when
winning.
he wasn't?
He was winning.
He wasn't winning shit.
He was. He
You
was.
can't win. You can't win rounds by holding, missing jabs, and
Mhm.
and that's not how you don't win rounds by that.
Mhm. Okay,
You can't win a round by holding.
that's fine. I mean, like I said, that's your opinion. Everybody has we all have different ways of
Yeah.
of how we judge rounds. So if you think that
And
he
wait,
was
and
down,
just
that's
for the
okay.
record, just so we're clear, didn't you say you rewatched the whole fight? You were looking for clips for like when Plant landed a good punch, a clean punch, you couldn't find
Yeah.
it.
So it was what I meant was like a hard punch.
Yeah, no, it
I mean,
didn't
like a
exist.
solid, like ooh, like you know,
He
one of those,
landed a
like,
few
ooh,
clean
shit.
punches, but there wasn't
course.
anything ever like, oh my
Body
god, he
shot.
really
But it's
caught him.
also too. You guys got to remember when you watch a fight live, like your emotions are there. So sometimes you might think something landed and it really didn't. Then you rewatch it with like fresh eyes, and you're like, oh, like he didn't do as good as I thought he originally did. It was kind of
And
like
for
the same
record, I
concept
was
with
rooting
Plant
for
and
Plant,
Canelo.
just so you know. For the record, I was rooting for Plant.
So I think we all were, at least in the chat, anyway.
Obviously not me, but that's okay.
Listen, there's
no,
nothing
Okay, so-
wrong with rooting. I picked Canelo, and I got a lot of shit in our little group chat, man. I'm serious. We got to add this guy because I was the only one. They were calling me racist for picking Canelo. I was just like, wait,
Oh God, I remember that.
you're a cheater. You don't know boxing. I'm like, bro, Canelo's gonna walk him down. That's it. It's
Mhm.
easy. That's an easy
Mhm.
fight for him.
Yep.
nah,
If
man.
if Joe's got an iPhone, I'll add him on there. But that group chat is funny, bro.
I have a droid, but here's the thing, right? With Caleb Plant, and like I even brought this up, I still have screenshots of Caleb Plant before that fight happened. I have a lot of them, and all I'm gonna say is there are people who, if they decide to tell me that Caleb Plant wasn't anything special, I'm ready to put them on blast, because not only were they picking Caleb Plant, they were talking about how he was in Canelo's head, how he was going to be the toughest fight for Canelo, and then after he lost, they quickly dropped him and pretended he wasn't doing all that much.
Oh, that's
And
always how it is. I believe you. Doesn't shock me. Doesn't
So
shock
wait, real quick, let me just do a quick clarification. You have the three fighters mentioned. Johnny, you have 3-0. You think Charlo knocks out all three of them? Stops.
No. Charlo stops Plant. He stops Callum Smith, and he outboxes Billy Joe.
Okay. And
Right,
your buddy over here, what do you have?
He got it a clean sweep.
I had it. I think he could beat Plant. I said Saunders was really. I think Saunders is tough because I think Saunders would win more rounds. Oh well, yeah, was tough.
Yeah.
Was tough. He's not tough no more.
No.
But the Saunders the undefeated Saunders, the one with the swagger in his step that didn't have his face broken, that Saunders, I think could put Jermall Charlo in a really bad boxing situation.
And just to clarify, I'm talking about them guys right now, not when they were at their best. Right now.
Oh, right now.
Yeah.
Then I think
200 pounds.
yeah, one of those guys is at 175.
No,
and looks
I'm
better
saying like
there.
if they were still in the same division, but like currently.
Seen Billy Joe's latest photos?
Oh my God, dude, he's got to be 200 pounds.
Blew up. At
Yeah.
least minimum 225.
At
At
least.
least.
Well, there's a
He's
lot of
walking
guys
around
that
like
not
heavyweight.
named Jermall Charlo that could beat that version of Saunders. Come on now.
But if you're asking me, I mean, I still think he beats the best version of Saunders anyways.
Well, even if that's the case, right? Even if that's the case, let's say you really believe, like I think you do believe it. I personally don't, but that's fine. Even if that's true, why do you think he hasn't done it? It's a weak division, right? Like you would think someone would look at this division and be like, you know what? Those are a bunch of weak belt holders. Maybe I should go up there and get undisputed real quick and make a name for myself because that division is so weak. Yet no one did anything. Everyone sat on their butts and talked and tweeted at each other angrily.
What do you think? Let me ask you the same question because I know the answer. Do you know the answer?
I actually have. I think I have the answer, right? Because like I said,
okay. So pretty much what it is what is the main between Charlo, between Andre, and let's just say those two between Charlo and Andre. What is their main goal?
Their main goal right now is to fight, have a big money fight
Against who?
Canelo.
Exactly.
When? 3 years from now?
Probably. I don't know. I mean, Canelo's a shot maker, not them.
Hey,
If Canelo came out right now and said, "I want to fight this guy," the fight's happening. That's it. So it's on Canelo.
That's what I just. If Triple G loses to Murata, he's gonna. If one of these guys fight each other, he's not gonna fight Murata's not gonna move up to fucking 168 to fight Canelo. That's not gonna happen.
I think Canelo would take a Murata fight if it's in Japan, because that's a lot of money. At that point, that's a huge fight for them.
Imagine the PBC fanboys if he signs that, bro.
Bro, he's fighting. Jamal Charlo is fighting Selecki. I really wouldn't care.
Mm-hmm.
No, real quick, Johnny, I'm gonna ask both of you guys this quick question. Charlo Benavidez, 3 months from now, who do you got?
I got.
That's easy for me. I got Benavidez. I think he stops him. I think Jamal Charlo's athletic ability and strengths would be neutralized because David is bigger and stronger and has some pretty quick hands. Jamal Charlo is not outboxing. Yeah. Jamal Charlo is not outboxing that guy.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, bro. That's gonna be a tough. And not only that, he's a lot bigger. He's much bigger.
Pick. I need you to pick. Make a prediction.
I got David Benavidez TKO.
Yeah, same. Benavidez stops him.
Do you have? So then, would you the 3 fighters we just mentioned? Do you think David beats those 3 mentioned?
David beats the living shit out of all 3 of them on the same night. He fucking destroys Caleb Plant. He beats the living shit out of Billy Joe Saunders. And who the hell is he? Oh, and Callum Smith. Don't even get me started on that.
Oh, wait, hold on. No. Hold on. I want to say this real quickly about because I think Callum gets really downplayed. So the thing with Callum is he can punch. Like keep it in mind, he can punch. His punch has grown a lot more over the years as he stepped up in competition. Because the consensus before was that he was knocking out nobodies. Well, he kept knocking dudes out in the Super 6 tournament. Then then obviously he lost to Canelo. He knocked out a dude that Bivol couldn't even put to the ground once, and he knocked him in 2. And Callum Smith arguably had knockout of the year. That dude was in convulsions. David, I'm gonna say this about David. I haven't forgotten Ronald Gavril. I haven't forgotten that fight. Mm-hmm. He had him hurt bad. He dropped him, and David was really hurt. Callum is a much bigger puncher. He's much cleaner puncher. And he doesn't mind having to box with you. The problem with Canelo is just a superior boxer to Callum. And whenever he tried to engage in what Callum usually does, his check left hook, bro, Canelo was ready for it. He studied and would hit right to the body and hit right to the body again until Callum's arms were completely at his side instead of to his face. David, that fight doesn't go to the distance, but I think Callum has a good shot because if he cracks David, I don't know.
That's a big if, bro. That's a big if.
But that fight doesn't go the distance. I know that fight doesn't go the distance.
So let me do a follow-up question. And this is where things get interesting. And I like asking questions this way because then you get to really expose, you either get to expose someone's sports knowledge or the other side. You get to learn more. Bivol versus David Benavidez. You pick the weight class. Does it matter? Not really, because either guy could fight in both.
Okay, I'm gonna answer the question first, and I'm glad you said you picked the weight class. I'm gonna go to 175 because David Benavidez is already talking about going to 175. David Benavidez has I don't want to say a massive, but he has a size advantage over all the guys at 168, over Caleb, over Smith, everybody. So if he moves up in weight to fight Bivol, now he's going to fight against a guy who probably walks around 190, probably about the same as David Benavidez walks around with. So now you got 2 guys that are potentially the same size. Give me Bivol all day. I mean, not Bivol. Sorry, Better Beef. Did you say Bivol or Better Beef?
No, he said Bivol.
No,
he said Bivol and Benavidez.
David Benavidez.
I'm sorry. I confused him with Arthur Better Beef. Let me retract that. Damn, that's a good one. That's a good. I thought of Arthur Better Beef. That's a good fight. Let me
Bivol,
think on that, Joe. Go you
Benavidez.
first. Let me think on that.
Okay, so let me talk on this real quick. So Bivol, right? I don't have to question Bivol's chin because he fought Joe Smith. Joe Smith hit this dude flush with a devastating hand that has put many dudes bigger than him away, and he just kept on walking and proceeded to pretty much dominate. With Benavidez, I don't think he's ever been hit by a dude who cracks half as decently as the dude's up at 175. I'll be real. I think Bivol, he'd be the better boxer. He's going to be the better technician. Benavidez will not have more pop than Joe Smith. He will have something going for him, though. He will have hand speed. But I think sometimes, bro, I'm gonna be real. I really look at Benavidez, and I think he's tailor-made for guys like Canelo, guys who really like to counterpunch, because he will throw the kitchen sink at you. Sometimes he won't even put his hands right back out to his guard. He'll just throw. And like, that's dangerous. I think Bivol beats him. I don't know if it's a stoppage. I think that fight is tough, but I think Bivol beats him. He's not going to be that much bigger than him. He's going to have to fight a guy who has already taken arguably the second biggest punch in light heavyweight. The only other guy who could crack harder is probably is Beterbiev.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be real. I'm picking Bivol.
Okay, so I've had a little bit of time to think about it. I almost kind of want to agree with Joe's point. I feel as though, call me crazy, but I feel as though Joe Smith Jr. Is the hardest puncher at 175, or at least he's top 3, and I'm sure we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
And he was able to stagger Bivol for a little bit, and Bivol he recovered pretty quickly and then just kept dominating. I don't think David Benavidez hits harder than Joe Smith Jr., but at the same time, David Benavidez throws punches in bunches, so he kind of like swarms you. But Bivol does that too. So if you put a gun in my head, I'll probably pick Bivol to win that fight. I just think that David Benavidez, a lot of his success comes just because he's a lot bigger than these guys at 168.
So the point I'm making, I'm eventually building myself up to just further explain how amazing of a fight Canelo versus Bivol is.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Bro, you were all agreeing that Bivol is the best. Would beat pretty much anyone else in that weight class except for Canelo. So if Canelo looks good against him, like if you're outside of a payday, Charlo and Benavidez they're not going to go into that fight to win. They're going to be in straight survival mode.
Yeah. So see the thing. I made a video on why I thought Dimitri Bivol was going to be Canelo's hardest fight, harder than Triple G, dare I say, or at least more dangerous. Anyways, if he completely obliterates Dimitri Bivol, like let's say stops him in like 3-4 rounds and looks good doing it, now Jamar Charlo and these guys, they have to fight each other. They have to. Because nobody believes.
I think they have to fight each other regardless.
Not many people believe that David Benavidez, Jamar Charlo is more dangerous than Bivol. I don't think anybody believes that. They would have to.
I don't see how after this next fight, after Charlo's Plants and Benavidez' next fight, which they're all they have to. One of the three have to fight each other. Mm-hmm. There's no way of avoiding it now. There's just no way. I don't
throw Andre in the mix as well.
Yeah, honestly, first of all, I don't think Andre's going to do anything.
Doesn't he have a fight? Doesn't he have? Okay, you could throw Andrade in the mix, but he may lose his next fight. Like
probably, probably.
Wait,
see,
do y'all like
the only fight that's potentially going to possibly be made between these top guys at 168 that's not named Canelo is Plant and Benavidez, because Plant has a fight, or at least he's in negotiations with Anthony Durrell. We already know David Benavidez is fighting David Lemieux, and then in September, if the two guys, assuming they're victorious, in September that's when that fight's supposed to be made. I think it gets made. Honestly, at this point, I think Caleb Plant is letting his nut hang and just fighting everybody at this point because he already has an L. I think that fight potentially gets made. I think the winner of it deserves a fight with Canelo, whether it be a rematch with Caleb Plant or a fight with David Benavidez. That's where I stand with that.
The only thing is waiting on Canelo. Like, how much longer do you guys anticipate him fighting? I mean, He
Right.
takes, let's say he fights these next 2 fights. You know, you're looking at like another year and a half.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like
and these guys
you
that
have to
want
be
to fight him
realistic.
aren't getting any younger.
Well,
Dimitri,
that's what I'm saying. Like, at what point are we gonna like? I think the majority of the fans gave up on Spence Crawford. I think that
yeah,
most
that's
fans
good.
just they're no
DOA.
one's interested anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm
now, like,
really upset
are
about that.
fans?
That's so
Is
depressing.
anyone like be realistic? Does anyone care to see Canelo versus like casual fans? Do they give a fuck if Canelo fights Charlo or Benavidez? No one watches these guys anyway. So why would anyone care?
I think a Benavidez fight would be huge though, because it's Mexico versus Mexico. I don't
Benavidez,
think
yes,
anybody
but
really
he
cares
needs
about
a win
Charlo.
though.
Oh,
That fight's not going to happen if he doesn't get a big win.
Yeah, he
There's
needs a
no
big
way
win.
you can ask Canelo to take that fight.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a belt.
No, I don't think so.
No, Benavidez has no belt. And
Yeah.
actually, here's
Maybe
the
like
worst part
Andrew
about
belt.
that.
I know he doesn't. I was just testing you guys. Like,
Yeah.
what does he offer? Well, who's his best win? Can anyone name Benavidez' best win?
Anthony Durrell, maybe.
An older
yeah.
Durrell.
At
That's
least on paper, that's his biggest name. You know what I mean? I can't.
That's what I'm saying.
Actually,
Like,
here's the thing, right? Because I remember when we had a conversation before, you talked about you don't like the resume thing, that you never beat somebody until you finally beat somebody.
Yep.
But that becomes a bit much when you compare and you look at what Canelo's been doing, and then you look at guys, because like you had said, Canelo, we expect a lot more from Canelo because he's arguably the best fighter on the planet. But these guys are world champions. They're world champions. Could you imagine if the LA Dodgers were like, well, as the world champion, I choose to play against the bottom feeding Seattle Mariners because no reason, just to keep busy. Like, imagine if the Bucks said, I want to play against the Orlando Magic. Like, it's nonsense.
listen,
World
this is
champions
boxing, though.
are getting excuses to not fight people, to not do their job. That's insane.
Yeah.
And we just
this
fully
is the sport,
support
though.
it.
Come
We
on,
expect
man.
it. But like, shouldn't we want more? Shouldn't we want better for the sport? Like, why should we just settle for it because it keeps happening?
I get where you're coming from. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, bro, a world champion. Let me see. Who's a world champion at 68 right now, other than Canelo?
It's only Canelo. He's undisputed.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's right. You're right. Okay. But you can't expect. You're not going to put Canelo Alvarez on the same pedestal as Jamal Charlo. You're not. Even if Jamal Charlo was a champion at 68, let's just say Canelo wasn't undisputed.
But I'm not even asking for that.
Let's just say Jamal Charlo. Matter of fact, let's just say Jamal Charlo was undisputed and Canelo didn't have a belt at 168.
Okay.
You are never ever going to put Jamal Charlo on the same pedestal as Canelo Alvarez. It's not going to happen. No matter how many belts Jamal Charlo,
I would argue. Actually, I definitely disagree there, only because I do value undisputed from anybody very highly. Like when Terence Crawford did it, he went to my number one pound for pound spot. Usyk, he literally was my number one guy after he went undisputed. The only reason he wasn't was because then Canelo followed to become undisputed with everything else he had already done. Like, undisputed matters. If Charlo even had a see, I'm not even telling them to go be undisputed. I'm asking them to fight somebody. That isn't too much to ask of a world champion. It doesn't even have to be a unification. Charlo Benavidez isn't a unification. Neither is Plant Benavidez. Or Charlo Andrade would be. Well, no, not anymore. But it wouldn't even be a unification. But you would still say that's a great fight to have from former or current world champions. That's all I want. I'm not asking you to go move up 2 weight classes to fight a guy much bigger than you. I'm not asking you to move up all the time. I'm asking you to fight a live body.
Yeah. Well, what you're asking for is boxing to be like the UFC. And it's not going to happen.
Never happen. Never. I wish. But listen, Joe, I want to ask you why you disagree with that point. Why do you disagree that Charlo should be in the same pedestal as Canelo Alvarez?
Oh no. I said I disagree with, like, I guess let me rephrase it. I think that I should expect something solid from world champions. I don't expect them to do what Canelo's doing, but I expect them to do something comparable. Look what I'm asking for. I'm asking for one fight. Canelo has been doing this for many fights, and I'm just asking for one. Like,
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
but
not,
my friend, let me jump in real fast. Let me jump
go
in.
ahead.
What
Go
do
ahead.
what do all the Canelo haters say? They always bring up the the mandatories that he fights, and they're like, oh, but Canelo fought him. Why can't he fight Charlo? Or what say you?
Well, that one's really easy for me
Hold
to
on, hold on,
answer.
hold on. Let me jump in really quickly,
Go ahead.
Joe. I'll let you go after. The mandatory thing, it depends on like what mandatory, because since when does Canelo fight mandatories? You know, he'll fight a mandatory like Avni Yildirim, who he himself requested for it to be a mandatory. Yes, he was David Benavidez's mandatory, so of course he was owed a shot, right? But Canelo Alvarez requested for him to be his mandatory, so much so that the WBC president, like I said before, came out and apologized. So which mandatory like are we referring to here? Because like I said, he'll avoid a mandatory like Triple G. Well, he fought Triple G, but at that time he'll avoid a mandatory like Jamal Charlo, but he'll fight a guy like Avni Yildirim, who's his mandatory.
So really quickly, I think this gets really. This is actually really simple to break down. I'm looking at what Canelo's doing in between and Avni Yildirim, and I don't really care because it's Avni Yildirim. Between that, he's fighting two undefeated world champions. In between, right before and after Avni, he's fighting world champions in high quality opposition. I'm looking at guys, and keep this in mind. I'm taking this from the perspective of people who are fans of these kinds of fighters. There's a ton of Avni Yildirims on this resume for a world champion. Sebastian Hyland, Centeno, Brandon Adams, Dennis Hogan, Montiel, Sulecki, and keep in mind now, what's the other fight that people give Canelo crap for? It's Rocky Fielding. At least Rocky Fielding was top 10 at 168 at the time. The dudes that these guys are fighting, and I'm unfortunately gonna have to bring this up because like I need everyone to understand that there is a big difference between Canelo fighting one Rocky Fielding or one Avni in between big fights and then fighting a whole row of nothing but this caliber of fighter or lesser. Look at this. Arthur Akavov, Walter Kawundokawa. I'm not even saying the names right. Alontis Fox, Jack Kulke, Dario Fabian Pachuta. Bro, I can't. I'm not even joking. I can't pronounce these names. These guys are lesser than Rocky Fielding, and people want to get mad over one Avni when you've got like 10 of them, bro. And you're a world champion, dog. Like I'm not. I'm sorry, but I'm never gonna feel bad for these dudes, and I'm never gonna agree with this argument that because Canelo fought these dudes that he needs to be downplayed. And you know what, Avni and what's his face and Rocky. They know what their place is. They're not going to demand as much money as a Jamal Charlo or an Andrade would to fight. They know why they're there. They know exactly why they're there. It's a fill-in fight. Maybe it becomes bigger, but it's a fill-in fight. These guys.
And that's fair. Go ahead.
Nah, bro. I'm not with it, man. There's too many. I'm looking at these names right now. Sorry. Don't feel bad.
Okay, that and like that said, that's 100% fair for you to feel that way. But at the same time, once again, we are talking about the number one pound for pound fighter. We're not talking about a top 10 at 168. We're referring to the number one attraction pound for pound fighter. It's different. No matter, you could disagree all you want, but fact is, Jamal Charlo is not and will never be on the same pedestal as Canelo Alvarez ever. So Canelo Alvarez, yes, having that one Avni Yildirim in between big fights, it's gonna get him criticized. If he fights Dimitri Bivol and beats the shit out of Dimitri Bivol, and then goes and fights John Ryder, you think that's gonna sit well with people?
Oh no, not at all.
Of course not.
But honestly, I would personally, like me, I wouldn't care because I know who you just fought. I'm okay with that. I'm completely fine with you taking like breaks in between. But people act like this is something new. Do y'all want to go back and look at the greats in the history of boxing? Can you name a guy who was fighting constant, undefeated, or big time name after big time name?
Of course I can.
Wait, who fought?
Carl Froch.
Hold on, I'm so glad we brought it. Okay, that's great. Here.
Oh, come on, Carl Froch, bro. Look at the for the like 10 fights in a row. He was fighting nothing but big fights. Guys
Lucian
Andre
Bute is I don't think Lucian Bute or Glenn Johnson are exactly what you call big fights, and that's in the 10 fight.
Okay, so
Or Yusuf Mack.
if you're talking about like, listen, he was fighting top guys in that division. In that division, I'm not saying he was fighting pound for pound fighters every fight, because obviously that's impossible. I'm talking about, you said name a guy that was fighting nothing but top fights for many years or whatever. I named Carl Froch, and you brought up Glenn Johnson, and who's the other guy that you brought up?
Yusuf Mack.
Okay, so now I'm talking about Lucian Bute. First of all, Lucian Bute is a guy that Andre Ward ducked, but doesn't matter. Lucian Bute was a good name on your resume. All right, you're going from Jean Pascal, Jermaine Taylor, Andre Durrell, Mikkel Kessler, Abraham, Glenn Johnson, Ward, Bute, yada yada yada, Mikkel Kessler, and George Groves twice. So out of those 10 guys that I just named, was it 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10. Out of those 10 guys, you picked Glenn Johnson and Lucian Bute and Yusuf Mack. All right. So out of those 10 fights, 3 of them, in your opinion, aren't big names, but 7 of those 100% are big names.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but that's the thing though. Like, if that's the comparison, like, look at this. I'm just looking at Carl and Canelo's thing right now. It's very similar. Dimitri Bivol, undefeated world champion. Caleb Plant, undefeated world champion. Billy Joe Saunders, undefeated world champion. Avni obviously sticks out. Callum Smith, undefeated world champion. Sergey Kovalev, a former light heavyweight champion. Daniel Jacobs, a current middleweight champion. Rocky Fielding, who was top 10. Gennady Golovkin and Gennady Golovkin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very comparable.
It is very comparable.
But like 100%. Carl Froch was doing this all at one weight class. And to be fair to Groves, he definitely does have a say in what happened in that first fight. I definitely did you ever watch that fight, or did you see it live?
Not the first fight. No, I never. I caught the highlights, but I never saw the full fight. No.
Yeah, because like they that referee stopped the fight way too early when Groves was massively up, and was giving Froch a problem. And I see your point, but see that's the thing though. Was Carl Froch ever the number 1 pound for pound fighter?
No, never.
No, but look what he's doing. So I can't expect that from another world champion.
Of course you can. Of course you can. You could expect that from a guy like Jamal Charlo. You could expect that from a guy like Demetrius Andre. Demetrius Andre, he pretty much like he made his own bet, so he's sleeping on it. I'm gonna take Demetrius Andre out of that equation, and because we both agree that Jamal Charlo has done a lot more, so that pedestal is higher. A guy like Jamal Charlo, yes, he absolutely can fight guys like how Carl Froch was fighting. The only reason he's not doing that is because he does not want to miss out on that Canelo payday. Jamal Charlo can absolutely fight David Benavidez, Caleb Plant, Billy Joe, if Billy Joe was still active, those guys in a row. Yes, he absolutely can. But he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't want to risk that L and lose out on that Canelo payday. That's what it is. Back then, you think Carl Froch gave a fuck about a payday? No. Of course not.
No, but we brought this up because we were talking about like what fighters don't have an Avni or a Rocky Fielding in the middle of them fighting top guys. Muhammad Ali wasn't always fighting the Ken Nortons or the Joe Frazier's of the world. Right. He was fighting guys like Burt Cooper twice. Like let's keep it a buck. So like that's why I said like this idea that Avni and Rocky discredit what Canelo does is just nonsense. Because
but at the same time, bro, you got to understand. And I love that you brought up Ali too, because no, he wasn't fighting Nortons and George Foreman's and Frazier's. He wasn't. But guess what? He got criticized. You're going to get criticized. Look at Floyd.
Ali was criticized for a far different reason. Now let's keep it 100.
No. I'm talking about his opposition. I'm not talking about just criticism in general. Look at Floyd when he fought Pacquiao. He was criticized.
No, that's casuals though. And keep in mind, Floyd was older than Pacquiao. He was 38, and Pacquiao was 36.
Yeah, and then we saw what Pacquiao did after he lost to Floyd. He became champion. He beat Keith Thurman. I think he beat Timothy Bradley again.
like
Clearly Pacquiao still had it.
Yeah. I didn't even have a problem with Floyd fighting Andre Berto for his last fight. He's earned the right to fight whoever he wants. He just fought the number 3 pound or number 2 at the time pound for pound guy. Like I was fine with that because you can't go up from there. You can't. It was impossible. It was fine for him to fight Berto and Guerrero and Victor Ortiz. I didn't have a problem with that because he fought guys like Canelo and Maidana and obviously Pacquiao, and obviously at 130 he was fighting guys like Chico, and then at 135 guys like Gennaro and so forth and so forth.
Right.
But like all these guys take these keep busy fights. That's just boxing. That's what it is.
Right.
People act like this is new. It's not. This has been happening for years, and it will continue to happen. And who did I bring up? Because we were talking about like Carl Frosch and like Lucian and all that.
Yeah.
I'll just say that if you want to look at someone's resume and criticize it, it's easy. You can always look. You can always destroy anyone's resume. It's really easy.
Right. No,
what you can't destroy is the accomplishments. Like no matter what people say, like remember when Crawford, like after Crawford left 140, the 140 started popping off with killers like Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor and Regis. Like what were they saying? 140 was weak when Crawford unified it, and 140 now it's strong because Josh Taylor unified it, even though he just looked like shit.
Yeah. Right.
Well, the guys that Crawford beat, though, a lot of the guys he beat, like if you look at their next few fights, they all lost.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
They did 100%.
I actually didn't even know that.
Yeah. Julius Ndongo. Jeff.
Oh, I know he got starched by Regis.
Yeah, not Jeff Horn, sorry, but Julius Ndongo was
wins. If you look at a lot of Crawford's wins, that resume is not. That's why I don't have him in my top 5.
Resume is terrible
for other reasons. His resume, it's not terrible, but it's nowhere near top 5, top 10 pound for pound.
I mean, but it's the same as Spence's now, though, isn't it? Like, and we have Spence rated pretty highly.
Spence's resume is way better. You're talking about a prime Kell Brook.
Wait, no. I definitely disagree there because that Brook had literally just gotten his face broken by a much bigger Triple G.
Was he not winning the fight?
Against Triple G?
No, against Spence.
No, it was close. Winning the fight. I know. I had it like 5. I think I had it like 5-4, and it was close. Like Kell Brook was winning rounds, and if he was winning at the time, it was going to be like by a round or so.
Right, but he okay. Can you admit that the fight was competitive?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So clearly, the draining of the 160 didn't do anything to him because he was still fighting at top level.
Or you could also say that Kell Brook was just a bit was still like, or maybe Spence wasn't ready for that moment, that this was a big step up, because I'm trying to look at here. Let me go in order so that way I don't mismanage anything. Yeah. So before Kell Brook, there were 4 guys. Actually, I'm gonna go 5 guys because like these names, you knew them, but you knew they weren't doing anything. Phil LaGreco, Chris Van Heerdren, Alejandro Barrera, Chris Algieri, and Leonard Bundu. Those names sound familiar, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So then it was Kell Brook. It was Lamont Peterson. Then it was Ocampo. Then Mikey. Sean Porter. Danny Garcia. And now it's Ugas. When I look at that, I'm like, how is this better than Crawford's? Which of these names? Crawford beat all the guys that Spence beat. And,
Come on, man. Hold
on. No, let me go further. Let me go further.
Hold on. Okay, but I want to touch up on what you said first before we go further.
Okay.
So listen, Danny Garcia is probably better than anybody other than Sean Porter that Terence Crawford has beaten.
True.
Wait, come on, man. Like that resume
and
that
Sean Porter, real quick, the Sean Porter that Crawford fought, that was his last fight. He wasn't the same guy.
But he was peak. That was peak. That's the last peak performance Porter had. But that was still a peak Porter.
That was not a peak Porter. That was a watch.
He looked amazing. Are you kidding me? He looked great in there.
Sean Porter. against Crawford.
Yes,
he was winning.
That was
he
Crawford's
was winning
toughest
those
fight.
He didn't look
those
good.
rounds.
It's just Crawford didn't look dominating. He didn't.
No, because that was Crawford's toughest fight because Sean Porter is Crawford's best win. But that's also arguably Errol Spence's best win because Sean Porter had already beaten Danny. And keep in mind, at Danny ducked a guy that Crawford beat the shit out of. He ducked Victor Postol, and Terence Crawford beat the shit out of him.
Listen, at 140, Terence Crawford's resume was great, but at 47,
look at Postol's record post losing. It's not good.
No, it was okay. I mean, he beat Lucas Matisse, I think, and that's probably it.
And he gave Josh Taylor a tough fight. But listen, he was.
If we're talking about at 147, at 147's resume, Errol Spence trumps Crawford's resume at 147.
It's not even close.
No, but this isn't just about 147. When I say resume, I mean the entirety of it.
Okay, but that's Spence has only fought at 40. Well, at least he's fought at, I think, at 162 as well. But that's in the beginning of his career. But I'm talking about we're talking about names. If we're talking about names, Errol Spence's best names at 40 are at 47, right? Mm-hmm. Danny Garcia alone, you saw what he did at 140. Danny Garcia was great at 140.
And he didn't win a single big fight at 147.
Right, he didn't.
Hey, wait,
we're talking about names, though. We're talking about names.
1 second, just for the record, Victor Postol, since the Terence Crawford fight, he's fought 6 times, he's lost 3 times, and he's lost his last 2 fights.
He's on the downward trend. Yeah, fair enough.
But listen, Joe, we're talking about big fights, big names. We're talking about big names, right? We can all agree that Danny Garcia is a big name, right? At least on paper. Not saying that the guy was an all-time great or nothing like them, but if we're talking about names, Danny Garcia alone, although he never did anything at 47, is better than any name that Terence Crawford has beaten.
You think Danny Garcia is better than Sean Porter?
No, clearly not. Sean Porter beat him, but
no. I didn't mean like them fighting. I mean as a name, even as a name.
Yes, and plus, bro, come on, the Sean Porter that he beat, he retired right after the fight, bro. That was not the same.
Well, yeah, there was no.
His dad stopped the fight because he said he wasn't training. He wasn't training properly.
that was honestly that was Kenny trying to Bro, that was Kenny making excuses, dog. If you've heard, no, have you heard Kenny talk? I've heard him plenty of times on the Boxing Voice.
Not about that particular.
Kenny is a guy who loves his son dearly. He really does. They have a really good relationship. A lot of people before Sean Porter was even fighting Crawford, people didn't even think he was going to be in the corner for Sean Porter in this Crawford fight. They thought maybe he should move away from his dad. But Sean Porter obviously beat Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia ducked the guy in Victor Postol that Crawford beat up. And then, of course, Victor Postol knocked out Matisse. He stopped because we're talking about things they did. But Victor Postol did stop Matisse, something Danny Garcia did not do. So, I'm trying to see why Danny is getting all this. I'm really trying to see it.
No, but at the same time, Danny Garcia beat Lucas Matisse when Lucas Matisse was at his best. When he was coming off of a 5-6 win streak, not after coming off of a loss.
Okay, that's fair. But I would say Errol Spence has a chance to just have at 147, he'll have a better win than anything Crawford's done. Ugas.
Yeah, 100%.
Because Ugas is clear. Ugas is clearly a really good fighter who just beat Manny Pacquiao, who had just taken the belt from an undefeated Keith Thurman.
Right.
So I would have to give up that argument at that point because that's just the way it works. But
I mean, it's interesting. You know what? I've never heard anybody say that Crawford's resume is better than Spence's.
It's not.
Even me. I'm a big Crawford fan, and
as a whole, it has to be. I mean, weight classes matter.
If we're talking about accomplishments, yes. Guys, but if you're just talking about, go ahead, Adrian.
Johnny, let me just for the record, Victor Postol, I told you, since he fought Crawford, he's lost more than he's won. Okay. Hank Lundy, I think he lost 5 out of his next 6 fights. John Molina, since Crawford, oh God, this is horrible. 2 out of his last 3 got KO'd in his last fight. Felix Diaz lost 2 out of his next 3. Indigo, I think he lost 6 out of 7 and got knocked out several times. Jeff Horn lost his next 2 fights. Benavidez Jr. hasn't fought since, or he had a draw, I guess. He had a draw last year late. Hasn't won since.
You know what's funny, Adrian? All those guys that you're naming, we don't know who they are unless we Google them. Unless you're like a diehard.
No,
Wait. I actually want to talk about Victor Postol. Look at the people he's losing to. Do these sound like names to you? Terence Crawford, Josh Taylor. So that's 2 undisputed champions he lost to. And then Jose Carlos Ramirez, who became the unified junior welterweight champion. These are the people he's losing to. You're acting like he's losing to Ham and Eggers.
Whoa, you're missing somebody.
What, Gary Antoine Russell? Yeah, he's an up-and-coming prospect. He's 14-0.
He did,
but
like,
he's not losing. He's not losing to guys.
The point is he's not beating these guys. He's not beating the big names. So what does that tell you about?
So that's perfect then, because because like if the argument is that Danny Garcia at 147 is better than anything that a bigger name than anything that Crawford's done, which obviously Crawford beat Kell Brook and he beat Porter. Those are 2 of Spencer's biggest wins at 147.
After they were washed up.
Oh, nah, absolutely not.
They were washed up.
Definitely not true.
No,
hold on, because Kell Brook is still fighting.
Yeah, he beat Amir Khan. Big fucking deal.
Who's Kell Brook?
Okay. And Sean Porter. And Sean Porter was game ready.
Kell Brook beat Amir Khan, who's like 36 years old. He's not the same guy he was 10 years ago. Amir Khan, in all reality, wasn't even all that good. He's just had hand speed.
Stop.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. But no.
Please.
Okay, look. I don't know. I'm gonna because I had to look at Victor Postos because y'all made it seem like this dude was like getting blasted by some nobodies like that.
No. The only thing, let's be clear. Let's not change what the point I made, and Johnny agreed. The majority of every fighter that Crawford's beat for several years now, after they fight Crawford, they lose more than they win.
It's almost like Crawford beats them up badly or something. That's crazy.
Or maybe they just weren't that good.
Say that, or they were just never that good.
Honestly, Joe, you can't really say that because after Mayweather beat guys like Cotto, Pacquiao, Marquez, they still went on to do great things.
Yeah, some of them did.
And
others didn't. Quick, John, that's definitely true.
Real quick, let me just say something. You guys both have Crawford very high in your pound for pound. If you just look at his last 5 fights, Sean Porter, a guy that's retired, Kell Brook, he's not a competitor.
He's not even ranked.
Okay.
Kell Brook's not even ranked.
Kell Brook, he literally didn't lose. He lost to Spence and then didn't lose again until after he fought Terence Crawford.
He's not.
So what
ranked,
are we saying?
He's not ranked.
You're acting like that dude was coming on a losing streak, and you talked about, oh well, he retired, but he still fought afterwards, and he's still probably going to keep fighting.
Oh, bro,
who's he going to fight? He's going to fight that.
He's going to fight. Honestly, I think they're going to try to feed him to Ben.
Yeah, either Ben or the other. What's his name? Who's the other? The son. Both sons from UK.
I heard Eubank. I heard Eubank Jr.
Eubanks, yeah.
Yeah.
So real quick, listen. Errol Spence Triple G knocked him out 5 rounds 2016. Spence knocked him out 2017. Crawford fought him 3 years later, bro. Since then, he fought someone these guys he beat were bums. So wait, real quick. Just in the last 5 fights for Terence Crawford, it's actually it's one of the most pathetic resumes out of any elite guy. He got Amir Khan, another non-competitive guy. Okay, the Kaba Lucas, the guy that
Bean Machine,
he beat him 1 round. He TKO'd him 1 round, and that was a solid fight by Ortiz.
Yeah, that was.
And then Benavidez Jr., who hasn't fought or won since then. And then Jeff Horn, everyone knew Jeff Horn lost his resumes. It's not of a pound for pound elite guy. It's not. It's not top 5.
Joe, pretty much. Okay, Joe. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If Canelo Alvarez had the same resume as Terence Crawford, would you still consider him the top best guy in the world right now?
Oh, best guy in the world? No, but I'm not arguing for Terence Crawford being the best guy in the world.
Okay, would you think that he's overrated?
No.
Okay.
No, that's just me because because like I guess my perspective's really different on this. Y'all think Sean Porter was done when Crawford fought him. I saw a fight that everyone was excited for because they said, "Oh, this is a real step up for Terence Crawford. This is arguably his biggest fight," and he stopped him and he rose to the occasion. No, don't do that, Johnny. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Fight.
Yeah, okay. Was that Sean Porter wasn't his biggest fight? Was that not a big fight?
No, I said it was his biggest fight. I said it is.
It was.
Okay.
It was Terence Crawford's biggest fight.
Okay,
and then what happened right after? He retired right after.
Oh yeah, okay, but like him retiring has nothing to do with Terence Crawford.
Okay.
Like that's his decision because he probably felt that there was nothing left for him to do at 147, and if even he wanted to go to 154, I like maybe he felt he couldn't go to 154. Maybe he felt he did everything he needed to. People can retire in their prime.
Let me just respond real fast, real quick. You said everyone wanted to see that fight.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
It sold 150,000, and Sean Porter was the main reason why that sold. People knew Porter. No one. These casuals still don't know who Terence Crawford is.
No. But I'm glad you brought that up. We wanted to see that fight. The people who watch boxing wanted to see that fight.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
everyone wanted to see
yes, they did. Yes, they did. Because when Terence Crawford hadn't fought Porter, when Terence Crawford hadn't fought Porter yet, they were claiming that that Terence Crawford was ducking Sean Porter, and that's why he wasn't fighting any top guys. That he's saying that his resume was weak. He literally fought Sean Porter because that's what people wanted. But because besides Spence, there's no other fight.
That was clamoring.
Listen,
if
honestly,
what you're saying is true. Wait, real quick. If what you're saying was true, it would have sold more than 150,000 pay-per-views. And they promoted the shit out of that fight. I don't want to hear it. Listen, wait. Porter promoted that fight. Crawford doesn't know how to fucking promote himself. That's why no one gives a fuck about Terence Crawford. Nobody. His own fucking state doesn't give a fuck about him. When he comes out to fight, his own fucking neighborhood doesn't come out and support him. Don't blame Bob Arum. It's not a race thing, okay? It has nothing to do with any of that shit. He doesn't know how to fucking promote himself. He doesn't know how to fucking do an interview. He doesn't do what any other guy at that weight class does, which is you always see him at the fights, doing interviews. You see a mic in their hand. You got fucking Sean Porter doing a podcast 3 days a week. What does Crawford do? Nothing. He doesn't know shit about promotion. His resume is way overrated. And the only reason why he's relevant is because the bitch-ass hardcore fan fucking overrates the fuck out of him. The dude, his last 5 fights, I think he's averaged 1 fight in his last 4 years. Bro, go fuck yourself, bro. You're the elite. You're supposed to be this elite pound for pound, the best in boxing. You fight once a year. Go fuck yourself, bro. You got lesser. You got Canelo fighting 4 or 5 times a year. But Crawford, he's fighting bum. He's fighting Kell Brook. Kell Brook. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Who is one of Spence's best wins, I might add, but okay.
Yeah, but he fought him like 5 years later.
Yeah, and he fought him coming off a loss and getting his face broken.
Yeah, okay, I understand that, bro.
You're telling me once a year for fucking Kell Brook and Amir Khan?
Here, I actually have the dates of when this happened real quick, so that way we can.
Bro, at the end of the day, Sean Porter had been inactive for over a year. Fought Terence Crawford, was 100% washed up. Let's just be real. The only reason Sean Porter looked good is because Sean Porter just has that crazy style that makes Scott. I mean, I don't know if you really want to say he looked good. It was more like Terence Crawford didn't look as good as everybody.
No,
I give credit to Porter for that.
I want your boy to pull up the dates because like I said, I have the dates right here. November 20th, 2021. That's one. A year later, he fought Kell Brook, an uncompetitive. No one had him ranked. No one thought he was some world beater. He wasn't even one of the elite guys at that weight class. And then December 14th, 2019, a whole nother year later, that's 3 years, he's fought fucking 2 out of actually this guy was good.
Wait, are we talking about Brook or Porter?
This was
Because I think we may have gotten mixed there. Because you said a year, and I'm
No,
like, what are you
Crawford.
talking about? Kell Brook fought Terence
Crawford
Crawford
fought
like
once
in
a year.
8 months.
Crawford fights once a year for the last 4 years. And it's his last fight was November, this past November. We're in March, January, we're March 23rd, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's March 23rd today.
Mhm.
Is Terence Crawford anywhere near a fight being signed? No. Does Terence Crawford have a fucking promoter?
Nope.
Nothing.
What's the answer? Say it. Okay. So like, how could this is why I can't stand when people are like, oh, Terence Crawford's top, bro. You can't even have him ranked. I think at this point.
How? Wait, you so wait. All everything
You
he's
gotta
done.
be active.
Wait, hold on. 3 division champion was undisputed at 140. Beat all the okay at 147. Besides Errol Spence, is there another guy you'd like to see him fight?
Who? Terence Crawford?
Yeah, name a guy at 147.
yeah,
He's beating no.
So-
Name him because like he's at 147 right now. Name the guys at 147 that you'd like to see him fight right now. There's
Oh my
only
God,
one.
that's easy. Easy. Okay, you're
Ennis or Ortiz, right?
Okay, hold on.
No.
Jordanis Orgugas, Jerron
No,
Boots Ennis,
Ortiz.
Virgil Ortiz. That's
He
easy.
won't fight Boots. He won't fight Boots.
Yeah, of course he won't fight Boots.
Boots.
Of course he won't.
Fuck
He
out
won't
of here,
fight
bro.
Boots.
Get his ass kicked.
Bro,
Fuck out of here.
you
fight
know
Boots
who- you know who
fight-
he might fight?
yo,
You know who Crawford might
y'all
fight,
are
bro? He
trying to
might
get
fight-
these dudes. Y'all are trying to get these dudes hurt early, bro. Y'all are acting like Crawford is some
Bro,
dude.
Jerron Ennis would beat the shit out of Crawford.
Not
Are you
right now.
crazy?
Not right now. He
Are you
wouldn't.
crazy?
Absolutely not.
We're
No,
not-
he would not
Are you
beat Crawford.
crazy?
Ennis
Bro,
is
Jerron-
not beating.
what?
Ennis is not beating
recorded,
Spence.
right?
He's not beating Crawford right now.
Okay.
He is not doing
Joe,
it
let me
right
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
All right,
What
we'll
does
see.
Terence Crawford do
We'll
better
see.
than Jerron Ennis?
Well, first of
Nothing.
all, he has better ring IQ.
Okay.
He's ambidextrous, just like so Ennis is ambidextrous, just like Crawford. Correct?
Who's a better switch hitter?
Honestly, I think Crawford's done it more against high level
No.
opposition. So I'm
No.
gonna say him until Ennis does it against the same level of
No.
opposition.
Stop
Listen, guys.
No,
guys,
no,
let's
no,
get
because
out of
Ennis-
it's
Yo,
real
hold on,
easy
hold on,
to
hold on,
look
hold on,
amazing
Joe, I
against
wasn't done, I
guys
wasn't
you
done.
are way better than.
Joe, listen. Jerron Ennis, he literally switches stances in the middle of combinations, bro. You cannot tell me Terence Crawford. Yo, Terence
real quick,
Crawford
just
gets
guys,
rocked.
let's not argue this real
Yo,
fast.
Terence Crawford starts
now,
off
and-
orthodox. He gets rocked, and he immediately switches to southpaw. He's not the same switch hitter as Jerron Ennis. Every fight that Terence Crawford is in, he switches southpaw and gets the guy out of there. He is not a better switch hitter than Jerron Ennis. He's not.
Okay, so let's say this because I
what's
think
up,
we're
man?
not going to agree on who's because like I already said if they fight right now, Terence Crawford beats him and badly.
No.
Yes,
doesn't.
yes, he
You're
does.
Crazy.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
crazy.
Well, we
You're
don't.
crazy.
I have nothing to go on for Ennis. No. Because guess what? Ennis and Virgil Ortiz are not about to have a big step up in the next 1 or 2 years. They're going to get built up like you're supposed to.
Well, no, Jerron Ennis is fighting for IBF eliminator. So if he wins that, when he wins that
Yep.
fight,
No,
he's going to beat
but
Errol
I'm-
Spence's
but-
mandatory.
Okay,
And guess
how-
what?
okay.
He's going to beat Errol Spence.
How long do you think that'll take though?
It depends on Errol Spence. He's the A side.
Do you think he beats Spence?
Hell yeah, he beats Spence.
Dog.
Bro,
Y'all
listen.
are hella disrespectful to these dudes.
No, listen, dude. What
I'm not-
okay, what
Spence
makes
is
fights?
crazy.
What makes fights? Is it resumes or is it styles?
Both.
No, it's
You,
not.
no,
both.
who you fight matters. Who you fight matters, my guy.
Okay.
Like that does matter. We don't. If you don't have the qualifications, how can I think you're going to do the job? Just because you look good against guys you're favored by a bunch to
Real
beat.
quick, guys, let me clarify something real fast. If potential fights, clearly, unless Crawford somehow signs a deal with PBC, which I think we all agree he won't, he's going to end up fighting Conor Benn in UK. Put on your seatbelt.
You know who
That's
Crawford
most
might
likely-
fight?
he's not fighting-
You know
he's
who
not fighting
Crawford
Boots.
might fight? He might fight Josh Taylor if Josh Taylor moves up to 147. That's who he might fight.
Okay, I guess that what does that fight do for him?
Nothing. But that's what I'm saying. He might
It's,
fight
it's
Josh
just an
Taylor.
undisputed
And
guy.
He won't fight
And
Boots.
Josh Taylor has lost
He
stock.
won't fight these PBC guys. He's not gonna fight. So like, that's why I'm like thinking like, bro, he doesn't have a promoter. Terence Crawford's the best fighter who has the worst career. If you think about it, one of the worst careers for the best fighters ever.
Yeah. Listen, I love Terence Crawford. I'm a fan of Terence Crawford, bro. But Joe, you're tripping. You really need to watch.
Listen, I just think I listen. I remember when Errol Spence and Terence Crawford were just coming up, like they were just coming up. Like Errol Spence was being talked about before Leonard Bundu was even an option. Like they were talking about him because everyone saw him fight against Chris Van Heerden on the Olympic card. Because I remember I saw him fight because I had just watched the Olympics. Like these guys take time to build. The Spence of that era would get body bagged by this Spence. Y'all don't rush them so often. Like an eliminator's coming. Hey, that's great. That's great. Like, that's great. But like, let's wait for it to happen. I need to see it. Once I see it, then I'm on board. I think Jaron Boots looks great. Boots looks great. I haven't even like touched on him being a bad fighter. I think him and Ortiz will be a super fight later down the road. But for now, bro, I'm gonna give it to the guys who have fought world champions, who have beaten them, who've looked good. I'm sorry. You if you do it to them, then fine. There's nothing I could say. But like, what you've done matters, and for me,
listen,
it's
you're
a bit
giving
soon.
these guys too much respect. They have to earn that respect. Beating Kell Brook and Amir Khan, you're not earning that. You're not earning respect. Go fight Boots. Go fight Thurman. Go fight somebody, not some dude that's about to retire. Go fight.
Wait, no. I'm glad you brought that up. So let's say they fight. Right? Let's say Spence beats the shit out of Boots. Are y'all gonna rate that win highly? No, you're fucking not, because you're gonna say Boots never beat anybody because he didn't. No. Okay. Be honest right now. I'm giving you all the chance to be honest. Spence knocks out Boots in 2 rounds. Doesn't look close. Do you rate that win highly? Yes or no?
Me, yes, because I'm very big on Geronimo.
Yeah, 100%.
Bro, go on my bro. If you don't believe me, Joe.
Real quick, wait, Johnny. That's the best win in that weight class.
100%.
In the last decade.
A guy who hasn't been champion once is the best win.
Joe, listen. Let me just tell you this. If you go on my channel, you can find a video that I said that Jerome Boots Ennis is going to be the #1 pound-for-pound fighter soon, right? So if Errol Spence, let's say Errol Spence stops all that. Let's say he beats the shit out of Jerome Ennis in 2 rounds, like how you said. Would I personally rank that win high? Absolutely. Because I picked Darren Ennis to clean out the 147 division. 100%. He is much bigger than Errol Spence. He is much bigger than Terence Crawford.
Just to be clear, both Spence and Crawford, when Ennis is mentioned, they first off they run away from that question, but then the next thing they say is, "Yeah, I'm probably going to move up." Both guys will avoid the Boots. It is what it is. You can say whatever you want. You already got Crawford, scratching his neck. It's talking about mentioning Crawford, Charlo. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and we all heard the rumors that Spence, after this Ugas fight, because we all know who the mandatory is, he's definitely he'll vacate and move up.
Yep. He will vacate and move up before he fights Boots Ennis. I promise you. And if he does fight Boots Ennis, he's gonna lose.
Spence is moving up.
But you know what?
Moving up 1,000%.
I'll tell you what though. Just in case, if that fight happens, I'm guessing would be good on a wager.
Absolutely, whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Wait,
you talking about Boots and Spence?
Yes.
Oh my God! Please inbox me. Please, I'll gladly take your money.
Okay. All right.
Not a problem. Not a problem. And you're gonna see. You're gonna be.
And maybe I will have egg on my face. Hey, that's a new superstar right there. But right now, I have to see it. I just don't, man. I see the skills, obviously.
It's never gonna happen.
But we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see.
And peep this, because the video that I put out, and this is just me believing that these guys are gonna end up fighting. So I put why Boots Ennis will be the #1 pound for pound fighter by 2024. Peep this. If he becomes Errol Spence's mandatory, let's just say Errol Spence takes the fight. Dog walks Errol Spence. He's going to go after Terence Crawford next. Dog walks Terence Crawford, right? Who'd be next, man? Maybe Ortiz, probably. Dog walks Virgil Ortiz Jr., right? Eric Duran, now you got an argument where you could be like, yo, Boots, he's top 3.
Yeah,
Maybe,
yeah. He does all that, done.
Yeah, but
he goes top
Johnny,
3. I
and
wouldn't
Joe,
even. I wouldn't have anything to say.
let's be realistic. You guys have to go by what is the most likely next potential fight. Crawford, no one knows. It's going to be Ben, Connor
Or
Ben,
Taylor.
or who'd you say?
Josh Taylor.
Taylor. Okay, which neither fight gets them closer. Like that does nothing for
Josh
his career.
Taylor is at least a pound for pound guy, though.
Yeah.
But
No, win
does
over
it
Josh
bring him
Taylor for
closer
Crawford. I
to
would
the elite guys
rank
at
it.
147. It doesn't bring him closer to a belt. It doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't. So there's that. Boots' next 2 fights, it's gonna be this mandatory, and then he gets the IBF.
Yeah.
Earl Spence, he's got Ugas. He could lose that fight. Are we all in agreement?
Yeah, Ugas is good. Yeah, Ugas is very good. I thought he was gonna get blasted by
Johnny?
Pacquiao. Yes.
Okay.
Johnny?
Yeah, of course. I believe he has. I don't think he'll do it, but he has the style to beat Spence.
So if he loses, who knows what happens? If he wins, I'm pretty sure he's gonna vacate. He'll probably move up.
Yeah.
He's a big
like I
guy.
said,
And
he will
if you look
vacate
at
before he
his
fights a
fight,
guy like Boots Ennis. It's a lose-lose for him.
that
He beat
weight-
Boots. Everybody's
weight
gonna
cut-
say, "Oh, like how what Joe was saying." He beats Boots. Everybody's gonna say, "Well, he beat a nobody." He loses to Boots. Everybody's gonna say Errol Spence was overrated. But anyways, guys, that's it for today.
Boots,
Go ahead.
All right.
Make your last point, then I'm gonna end the stream.
All right.
no, the last point is, you guys are putting Boots in the category with like a lot of like these hype jobs, like the Cobbs of the world, and like I don't think anyone in boxing, like actual boxers, like people that fight and train, they all know who the shit is. Like everyone knows Boots is not one of these like flash in the pans. He's not one of these fucking these hype jobs. You know what I mean? There's a reason why no one wants nothing to do with Boots. You don't hear anyone say anything negative about him in any which way. That dude's scary, man. You know? So like if anyone does beat him, like if one of these, first off, I don't see any of these guys signing a fight with him, so that's why I don't even have to entertain thinking it. But let's say, you know, Crawford wakes up one day and he's like, hey, I actually want to be a competitive champ and be active, and, you know, signs whatever deal, whatever, gets a promoter and signs that fight and wins. Of the boxing, like, it's going to solidify Crawford as probably one of the best all-time fighters if he beats him, even at this point. So, but is it going to happen? Probably not.
Yeah.
Okay, real quickly, I'll make this last point and then like we can end it. So if it happens, that's great. I would love to see new names come and rise, because Errol Spence and Crawford used to be those names. Because I remember when Keith Thurman was the man and Errol Spence was hunting him down. That was years ago, but we still remember that history where Errol Spence was a young and up and coming young challenger that nobody wanted to fight. And now Boots has just become the new guy. And once Boots becomes old, then it'll be a new guy. And we'll say that dude's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But you'll have to remember, for every Boots Ennis, there's a Saddam Ali. There's a Amir Iman. There's a Julian J. Rock Williams. There's a Jarrett Hurd. There's tons of these guys who we have lots of hype for, and they don't pan out the way we want them to. So all I'm going to say is, please just hold off for a second. If he does it, great. But I honestly believe that the guy who will be the best pound-for-pound fighter after Canelo, it's either going to be Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney, to be honest. That's just me, personally.
Okay,
Shakur.
that's fair.
I think Shakur. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see what he does against Valdez. But hey, man, thank you guys both for coming on, man. I'm gonna end the stream, and until next time. All right, fellas.
Have a good night.